Hello, everyone. This is Brother Benson, and I'm joined this evening with my good brother Msimamo. Msimamo, habari ya jioni.
Ndugu yangu, habari ya jioni. Salama. Sijui
Mm,
hapo studio na mihangaiko.
mm. Uko vizuri?
Mimi niko vizuri, namshukuru Mungu tena kwa kuniajalia uhai na pumzi tena, mimi
Mm.
pamoja na jamii yangu tena, kwamba ni
Ah,
shukrani za tele hizo za dhati. Kwa hiyo ni furaha kubwa tena kurudi kuwa papa hapa, haswa katika channel yetu hii ya Brother Benson Media, kuona kwamba Mungu atatujalia lipi la kuzungumza leo. Unajua Mm, babu yangu anaambia hakuna mtu anajua la kesho bwana, lakini kesho ikifika la jana nalikumbuka. Kwa hiyo tuyadadebua yalivyo kutokana haswa na mustakabali wa taifa letu. Kwa hiyo ni buheri wa afya ndugu yangu, kwa kweli. Labda pengine ni wakaribishe tu wale ndugu zetu ambao wanatufuatilia upande wa pili, comment section na kokote kule duniani, ni
mm.
wakaribishe tena kwa moyo mkunjufu, haswa papa hapa, haswa kwenye kipindi chetu. Kwako ndugu yangu Benson.
Asante sana. Unajua leo tulikuwa na Madaraka Day ambapo watu walisherekea kule kaunti ya Wajir na ni historia kubwa sana sana katika nchi yetu, kwa sababu ni mara ya kwanza watu wanasherekea siku ya kitaifa eneo hilo la North Eastern. Wakati ambapo nilikuwa nazungumza na jamaa fulani akaniambia machozi ya samaki alina thamani majini. Labda hilo wewe unaweza semaje?
Kakwambia kwamba machozi ya samaki hana thamani
Majini.
kwa sababu mwisho wa siku hata yakitoka utayonaje ndugu yangu,
Mm,
haswa ujue kwamba ndo machozi ya samaki.
mm,
Kwa kweli thamani ya kitu si mpaka uwe unakishika, unakiangalia, unakigusa, unakisensi, but
mm.
haya uyaoni, kwa maana kila yakitoka basi yanaishia na maji, haswa maana yenyewe ni maji pia. Kwa
Oh,
kweli haswa machozi ya thamani ya samaki hayana thamani
mm.
majini, lakini pia si majini tu, hayana thamani kokote, maana kuyakamata hivi inakuwa ngumu. Asante.
Okay, asante sana. Sasa unajua jambo ambalo nimefanya nikakuletea tafsiri hiyo ni kwamba unapata kwamba kuna hii mambo ambayo kimetokea saa hizi. Unapata kwamba wenyeji wa Nanyuki walikuwa wanaandamana kuhusiana na sana sana yale maneno la Ebola, ambapo ya karantini ambayo ilikuwa inafaa iwekwe kwa Wakenya waendelea. Sasa unapata kwamba Wakenya wengi wanasema kwamba hilo jambo si jambo nzuri. Like they're saying that the government could have consulted more, and they do not want government to build that facility. And from the look of things, it seems that government is not listening. Hiyo unaweza kuwa ukweli na jambo ambalo linasemana kwamba ni hata kama watoe machozi, hata kama watoe malalamishi hayo, hayana thamani.
Haya yana thamani,
Mm,
haya yana thamani kwa sababu mwisho wa siku atakuwa si maandamano na nyuki tu, kwa
mm,
kiburi, kwa kile ambacho serikali imeamua kutosikiza mwananchi. Basi kwa kweli naamini kwamba hili litamgusa yeyote ule, kwa sababu mwisho wa siku aswaya hayataonekana na nyuki tu,
mm,
yataonekana taifa zima, kwa sababu ugonjwa unamshtua kila mtu katika
mm,
hili taifa, wala si wananyanyuki tu peke yake.
mm.
Ndio mambo.
Okay, asante sana. Let me take this opportunity to welcome everyone who is watching us. This is Brother Benson Media, and we are streaming live on two platforms. That is Kikao na Sauti. Also, we are streaming over there. If you're watching us from Kikao na Sauti, you can also share your comments on what is happening in the country right now. We had Madaraka celebration, but in the midst of all this celebration, there was also a protest in Nanyuki or Laikipia, where there is a collaboration between the United States government and the Kenyan government, where they are establishing a facility for quarantine, especially if to retract well, the quarantine facility is going to especially to deal with Americans who are exposed. And that is according to the news, that the only people who are going to be quarantined there, it's Americans who are exposed with Ebola in Congo, and they have a maximum of 50 beds. But now the question that is arising is that the Kenyan government, what preparedness do we have, you know, especially to deal with especially the Ebola, bearing in mind that this is a very contagious disease and is spreading like wildfire. And also we are looking at the capability of our health sector. Are we ready to handle this? So that is the why the reason people are protesting. Let me just play a video for you before we go into the discussion and see what was happening today.
Residents of Nanyuki town staged protests against plans to establish an Ebola quarantine facility at the Laikipia Air Base, expressing concerns over what they termed as potential health risks associated with the project. The demonstrators marched through the town before being stopped by security officers near the military installation, where they demand the project be halted.
Unashindwa na vitu midogo kama kolera, unashindwa na linda mama, unashindwa na kolera, unashindwa na watoto waliochomeka pale utumizi. Ebola ndo utaweza? Na tumesema tumekataana na Ebola kabisa. Na reason as to why tumesema leo tupite tu protest, sababu iko kwa katiba na hiyo tukubali tu protest na tuweze kudemonstrate tukiona kuna shida ambazo zilizoko. Kitu kingine tumedemonstrate leo, ile siku tulipata madaraka. Leo ni ile siku Kenya ilipewa madaraka kama nchi. Tukapata madaraka kwa independence. Ikuaje United States wanakuja kutukontrolia nchi yetu? Sisi tumekuja kusema tumekataa hiyo Ebola. Na tunasema ya kwamba hiyo agreement wanasema ilisainiwa. Serikali iko na jukumu la kulinda our sovereignty as the Kenyan people, na hakika kwamba hao viongozi wote kutoka bunge wabadilishe hiyo sheria, na hataki kwa line hapa, hebu wapatie ultimatum. Kama hiyo wametoa hiyo kitu by Tuesday kesho, tutaenda mpaka Airbus kuhakikisha kwamba hataki kitu hapa.
Hakuna quarantine katika Laikipia. Lakini sisi wakana wa Laikipia tunauliza aje? Viongozi wa Kionjori yako wapi? Kionjori yako wapi? Wanajua tulikuwa tunaleta Ebola katika Nanyuki. Kionjori na Nanyuki.
Okay, thank you so much my friend, umesikiza hapo, wananchi wametoa malalamishi yao. Laban, habari gani? Umepotea siku mingi, nadhani natumai uko vizuri. Bradhangu, umesikia wananchi wanatoa malalamishi sana sana. Unadhani shida iko wapi? Kwa sababu tuko na bunge ambayo inafaa iongelee juu ya maneno haya. Unapata kwamba mambo kama haijapelekwa bunge. Vile vile tuko na maviongozi mbalimbali katika nchi, na unapata watu wamenyamaza. Unadhani shida iko wapi? Na pia tunaona mambo ya siasa, kwa sababu sasa imekuwa ni one term. Naona inakuwa ni one term. Unaona pia siasa lipo ndani. Sasa unadhani shida iko na wapi? Shida iko kwa sababu labda Ruto ako katika mamlakani, ama shida ipo kwa sababu kuna baadhi ya vitu ama vigezo ambao serikali ya leo imepuuza ikaendelea na mchakato kama huyo?
Unajua kaka, yani hili jambo mimi inashindwa, kwani mbona halijafanywa public participation ya kutosha, swa kwamba wananchi wahusishwe na waambiwe kwamba manufaa ya huu mradi ni upi, unaona, lakini vile vile uhakiki wa madaktari ambao wataweza kusimamia na hili gonjwa la Ebola. So si ugonjwa ambao labda pengine ni ugonjwa ambao ni lele mama tu. Lakini swali langu la pili haswa ambalo pia nimeangalia haswa katika hayo maandamano, jinsi ambavyo wanajeshi wale wanaongea moja kwa moja na wananchi, unaona, wengine wasema tusindikize mpaka town, unaona mambo kama yale. It's like kwamba ili jambo mbona ni kambe linalazimishwa, lazima liwe. Lengo ni hii hela, ama lengo ni kudistract kura wakati ukifika 2027? Yani ni baadhi ya maswali ambayo mimi nimejiuliza tangia hili jambo litokee Ben. Na katika jadiliwali yangu nikapiga hesabu zangu, vipi mfano, tuchukulie mfano ili hii jengwe ifike 2027 mwezi wa 4, tutangaziwe kwamba kuna mlipuko haswa wa Ebola katika Nanyuki, ambayo hiyo ni part of mlima of which hapo ndo ambapo kuna kitovu haswa cha kura nyingi katika hili taifa. Hilo najua halina mjadala, kila mtu anajua kwamba Mount Kenya in terms na maswala na kura, ukitaka kushinda urais lazima uhakikishe kwamba mlima umefunga mkono kikamilifu, kumaanisha kwamba kura ziko pale mlima. Then twinkle of an eye, ifike huo mwezi wa 4 mwaka ujao, Mungu akijali, tuambiwe kwamba kuna mlipuko wa ugonjwa ule ambao umeanza haswa. Then miezi mitatu baadaye ama miezi 4 baadaye kufika kwa uchaguzi, kwamba maeneo fulani yamegomewa haswa, kwamba hatuwezi enda kule. Kwa uchaguzi unabidi ufanyike sehemu zote, kwa sababu ni mandatory kikatiba, ni lazima uchaguzi ufanyike kila tarehe 8 ama kila mwezi wa 8, tarehe 10 ama tarehe 8 sijui, unaona ni lazima ufanyike. Kwa hivyo hakuna jinsi ambavyo tutaweza kupostpone huu uchaguzi. Je, swali langu kama msimamo najiuliza, si huu utakuwa ni ushindi wa peupe kwa wale wanaohofia one term? Kwa maana hiyo nimejaribu kuangalia kwa jicho la mbali zaidi, maana hii lazima ni ya dini ambapo mwananchi hajahusishwa kikamilifu, ikiwa ni jambo ambalo pengine ni la mradi na pia kuna mikakati ambayo basi liwekwe paruanja. Mbona ni jambo ambalo linafanyika kikamilifu, licha kwamba wananchi washaanza kupaza sauti zao juu na baadhi ya viongozi pia wameshapaza sauti yao juu. Kwa hiyo kwa hili nadhani, yani haswa mimi hofu yangu ni hiyo, licha kwamba ni ugonjwa tayari ambao kwa kweli ni hitishio haswa kwa taifa, lakini je, kwa jicho la pili lengo ni nini? Hii lazima. Kwa hivyo nikaishia hapo katika jaribio langu la akili, ndugu yangu Benson, kwamba tusije tukaharibiwa kisu chetu haswa kwa kuweza kuchinja paka, unaona. Alafu mwisho wa siku ikifika wakati ule tumepua kuku, tuwe tayari. Kwa hiyo nadhani hapa kuna mpango ambao kwa kweli nifiche, but yote tika, wacha tuone the way forward, kwa sababu hili gonjwa Mwamerika mwenyewe hataki watu, hata mtu mmoja aonekane katika sehemu yake. Itakuwaje haswa ameruhusiwa katika taifa letu? Na madaktari tumeona wakipaza sauti zao juu, wakisema hapana, hawafikiani na hilo, bora wasisikivu.
Kweli kuna baadhi ya maswali ambayo labda Wakenya wakipata itawaridhisha. Labda tuseme swali la kwanza, watu wanauliza mbona nchini Amerikani wamekataa kupatiana hao watu wao uhuru wa kuingia katika nchi yao, kwa sababu kulingana na msemaji Marco Rubio, there are so many questions that are being asked, especially on this, that and if government can come out, the only problem that I know with the government right now is how to relay the information, the communication. This one has always been a very, very, very a big problem, especially when it comes to Ruto administration, especially on how they communicate. One of the things that people are asking is, why is that the American do not want to admit, especially those their citizens who are exposed with this, especially who are exposed to Ebola? So those are the questions that people are asking. Then again, second question is that why is it that Kenya, they felt that Kenya is the best place for that? Then again, what is the interest of Kenyan? Yeah, because like each and every country, what they usually do, the interest of the people usually comes first, before advocating for any other person interest or any other country. As a country that has sovereignty, it has to be your people first, then others may follow. That is where the question is. Now, I want us to look at it in a very positive way, especially. We know very well that this disease is in the eastern part of Africa, or eastern part of Kenya, Kenya being part of the eastern part. What are the preparations that the Kenya has put in place, especially the safeguards, we call them so, that in the event that we are exposed as a country, what are the measures or the safeguards that we've put in place in terms of the quarantine facilities? Because for this one in Laikipia, it is very specific. The one for Laikipia, actually, is for the American citizens who are exposed. These are not for Kenyans. That's how I understand it. So what about the other safety guards that the government has put in place concerning our borders? What do we do with our borders, especially with Uganda? Because like we know that there are few who have been exposed in Uganda. What are we doing with the port of entries, our port of entries, especially the airport? How do we make sure that those who are arriving are free, are not exposed? If they are exposed, what are the areas that we should isolate them so that we monitor them? Those are the safeguards that we are talking about. Yeah. So, and we also have to look at the positive side of it. You know, there's a money that has been given again by the American government. Yeah, around, I think it's 1.17 billion for facilitation. With how we usually know Kenya, when it comes to issue of the money, that trust of the people, you know, that if the money is given, they know that sometimes it may not end up doing what it's supposed to be doing, but it will end up on individual pockets. So how can we, good communication, if government can have a proper way of communicating with Kenyans and listening to them, then it can be good. That is my take. Musimamo.
Yeah, nakubaliana na wewe kaka, haswa kikamilifu kwa hilo. Yaani pia nikiongezea juu hapo kwamba hebu tujiulize, Uganda hapa amefunga mipaka yake kabisa moja kwa moja, ni jirani yetu hapa.
Yeah.
Kwa nini amefanya hivyo? Kwa ajili ya usalama ya watu wake. Hilo ni swali ambalo tunajiuliza. Kenya vipi? Kwa sababu kama pengine sawa, positive way ni hili la hii hela. Hii hela ni ya mradi, lakini faida ya huo mradi ni upi? Kwa sababu kama ni hela ni ya ujenzi wa hiyo quarantine, I do believe so.
Yeah.
Je, faida ambayo tutapata baada ya kujengwa hiyo quarantine ni nini? Ni ajira?
Yeah,
ni ajira kwa madaktari wetu?
Wacha nikufafanulie hapa. Unajua kuna utata hapa, mimi venye jinsi naelewa, labda utanikosoa kama ndakuwa nimekosea kakangu. Ujenzi ambayo litajengwa pale kambi ya wanajeshi, ila ujenzi haitakuwa inawahudumia Wakenya. Ila ujenzi litajengwa kwa gharama ya USA. Wataleta watu wao, madaktari ambao watakuwa wanahudumia pale watakuwa watu wao, na watakuwa wanahudumia watu wao, si wa Kenya. Alafu kuna kitita cha fedha ambalo limetolewa ambalo litapatiwa wa Kenya. Sasa ili ambalo limetolewa ili ndio sasa wa Kenya wataitumia kuzuia ama kudhibiti swala lote la Ebola. Sasa hivyo ndio neno iko.
Maka hakuna faida. Hapo sasa na kufuta sufuri then unaandika zero. Kwa maana Amerika kama lengo ni hilo, mbona asijenge kwake akawapa vizuizi vya kutoheza kuona kwamba anaweka vizuizi kuona kwamba labda maambukizi hayataweza kuaffect na wengine? Mbona hapa hivi ni Mwamerika huyu ambaye analazimisha au ni viongozi wamewafiki hili? Pili, tukisema labda itajengwa katika kambi ya jeshi. Sawa. But tukumbuke kwamba huu si ugonjwa, ni ugonjwa ambukizi na hususu wa hewa zaidi. Tuchukulie mfano wamejenga sawa, umelika. Wanajeshi wetu ni watu ambao sometimes pia wako na familia zao. Lakini pia vile pia ni Wakenya. Likiwagusa wao, limeathiri sisi. Kwa hivyo hapo ni kama kufuta sufuri, kuandika zero. Hapa kama ni tamaa ya hii hela. Je, hela na maisha ya mwananchi unayemuongoza, kilicho na thamani hapo zaidi ni kipi? Kwa hivyo utagundua fika kwamba hela hata iwe ni mabilioni ya vipi, kwa thamani ya maisha ya Mkenya si lolote hayo mabilioni. Unaona, kimtazamo wangu mimi kama msimamo. Kwa maana hiyo hapa tunapiga jibu bure, lakini hapa ndani kunanuka nyama, ndugu yangu. Hili halingeletwa hili, because fought against one it does not work. Maybe hii itakuwa sasa it's a loophole, kwa sababu tutasemekana ni mlipuko tu ule ambao umelipuka kama mataifa mengine. Kwa hivyo si jambo kwamba tunaweza liongelea zaidi, kwa sababu nchi jirani hapa pia walikuwa na hiyo shida. Tutambua excuses nyingi ambazo mwisho wa siku lengo litaweza kutimia. Tunataka fair game, sio kuwa na vikwazo vingine. We need fair game. If watu ni track record itajionyesha. Viongozi wamesimama madhabahuni na mbele za magari wakisema watu wananchi tuwapime kupitia track record zao. So ili tutimize hilo la track record, let's be fair game. Si haya masuala ya kuletea ugonjwa mwisho siku uje ulipuke kule mbele twendako, haswa tukikaribia uchaguzi, kisha wengine wafungiwe nje kuweza kufanya zoezi hili haswa la kimsingi la kidemokrasia, kwa sababu ya huu mlipuko ambao ni maksudi.
Okay. Alright. Asante sana. Ni jambo ambalo bado tutazidi kufuatilia, kwa sababu ni jambo pia Wakenya wanazungumzia sana na wako na maswali chungu nzima. Wengi wanauliza kwamba kama rais ameweka mbele sana sana mahitaji ya Kenya, angalie Wakenya, kwa sababu labda nikisema katika lugha ya kimombo, samahani, this is a topic that we will continue to discuss about it. Today I listened to some members of parliament, especially they were asking such initiative, when taken in the country, it has to pass through parliament, it has to go through public participation, so that the public would participate and give it an okay or not to give it an okay. But you find that this one was just made unilaterally in the executive. Those are questions that Kenyans are asking. Other questions that also Kenyans are putting before the president is about the healthcare system. Do we have capacity as a country to handle, just in case if there's a breakout, bearing in mind that this is a very contagious disease, it sweeps the area and sweeps any population that it gets, bearing in mind, if you go to our densely populated areas, let's say you've gone to Kibera, you've gone to Madara and all that, and look at our healthcare system. Can we really manage? And another thing that also maybe people are asking is that according to the CS was saying that this facility, it will be one to also to assist Kenyans. Remember, you are looking at the mode of transport. Let's say that somebody is in Nairobi or somebody is in Kisumu and they need to be quarantined and they need to be taken to that facility. It means the safest way to take them, bearing in mind you want to keep the public safe, they will be airlifted. And remember, this is a very contagious disease. It can take almost 10 people showing similar sign in that area. Does the government have capacity to do that? That is the facility. Then again, you come to the first responders. The first responders, we are talking about the police, our policemen, because if there's death somewhere, the police will have to be involved and they will have to write their reports because they are first responders. How equipped are our men and women in uniform? Because they will be involved 100%, when this one happens. Leave about the police again, come now to our health aides, the nurses, the doctors, those who are working in health facilities, the aid, how prepared we are, to combat this, just in case it happens. So, there are a lot of questions that are still is left unanswered, especially on the government side. But tomorrow we are waiting for the court ruling, because there's a hearing tomorrow, and we will get the court ruling whether they will allow, especially the construction of the facility to go on, and also to allow the exposed patients, especially, to be admitted, because one of the pronouncements that were made on the courts the other day was they stopped any admitting of somebody who is exposed by Ebola into the country through any port of entry. Secondly, they also halted the construction of that facility, quarantine facility. So Those are the questions that we are asking. And there's also a massive protest. I think so many people are talking about they're still going to protest about it. So it's not something that is going to end anytime soon. So we will be watching. This is Brother Benson Media. If you're watching us for the very first time in Kikaona Sauti and also in Brother Benson Media, you can subscribe or you can share your comment on this quarantine facility that wants to be constructed in Laikipia, especially to assist with the monitoring of the US patients. Let me see, I'm seeing Leo Nyabaya. Yeah, Leo, habari gani? Can you check your unmute my brother?
Mzuri sana brother Ben, habari ya siku nyingi?
Kwema, habari gani?
Niko salama. Kabisa tunasherehekea siku ya Madaraka Day.
Yes, it is one that needs to be talked about because this is the first time since independence that the Madaraka Day has been celebrated in the northeastern part of the country. That is something that is recommendable. And we have to thank the Constitution of 2010 that they've always rotated these national holidays on every counties. So, each and every county try to test those or to see how we are diverse and how our constitution is working. Apart from that, we are having this conversation about the facilitation, especially the facility that is supposed to be constructed at Laikipia, especially quarantine for US citizens who are exposed with Ebola. And this one has caused outrage, especially in the country. Each and every person is giving their view, and today we saw quite a number of residents from Nanyuki, especially, they were protesting. Maybe your take on that.
Thank you so much, Brother Benson. I don't know if I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you. I think first and foremost, I want to say that I also want to agree with you that we have to thank the Constitution 2010 that allowed the rotation of these national celebrations. And of course, right now, there are so many counties, there are so many regions that had never experienced what benefits comes with this kind of celebrations. They can now celebrate and they can now feel the government because it is not only a single day's activity. You can remember that for the first time, for example, the people of Northeastern in Wajir have been able to see what is called a stadium, actually a stadium of FIFA standard, 10,000 seater.
No,
that is better.
It's not a FIFA standard, no?
Okay, according to what we have in our country, it is not that FIFA standard that can play some better games, but it is better than the one that we have somewhere in Mamboleo in Kisumu. So apart from building the stadium, I know the roads were upgraded, and there are so many things that happened, and the people there, they have something to smile about. We've seen it happen in Homa Bay, we've seen it in Kisumu and different regions across the country. But you also have to thank, I know apart from the Constitution giving that mandate or putting it in papers, there's also goodwill because somebody somewhere has to sit and select that we are going to this county next. We're having 47 counties, and for us to reach all of them, there must be somebody with the goodwill. So we appreciate that. Kenya is celebrating 63 years. And if you look at the country, I think that we are still much behind as we compare ourselves with our peers. Because the people that we got independence with at the same time, you'll find that they're far much ahead of us as far as the economy is concerned, as far as their social activities are concerned, and even their political developments. So that one aside, there's this interesting debate that is happening in the country, and I think Kenyans are just getting emotional and some misinformation. I did listen to one of the people who are demonstrating today, is it in Nanyuki? And this guy was trying to say that, you see, this money can be used in building schools and such kind of things. And I really I realized that the person is demonstrating without knowing the reason why he's demonstrating, because we in the demonstration, they don't want that deal, which is proposing to give Kenya some amount. Then how then are we going to get this money to use it in building schools and building those other facilities if we don't sign the agreement? So on my take, I know Ebola is a fatal disease, and nobody will go and import or will want Ebola to be imported in the country. Then again, on the second hand, Kenya is not immune to Ebola. So Ebola will not silently pass Nairobi and go to other countries. So the question that we should be able to ask ourselves, okay, if you don't want the US to build their quarantine facilities in Laikipia, of course we know that where they want to build it is a territory that they've been controlling since independence, and of course they're having their soldiers and everything, and they're the ones controlling activities inside there. That's something that some of us don't know. So if we don't want them, what if Ebola now gets to Kenya? Do we have the medical facilities? Do we have the trained doctors and the nurses, people who can be able to combat it? So we need to look at it in a positive way. That building this thing is not only going to give
my brother. Okay, what we want to discuss here. Actually, I agree with you on some of the issues that you are raising, but we have to be very factual on what we are asking. Nobody is opposed, especially from the intellectual perspective. Nobody is opposed. But now, where the question comes is about the messaging that people are getting. We agree, me and you agree, when the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, was having a press statement, especially besides the President, Donald Trump, there are words that he made, that the quarantine in Kenya is going to be meant for US citizens. Yeah. Let's be very specific of the message. Is going to be meant for US citizens who are exposed to Ebola, and the Kenyan facility is going to be a monitoring center. Yeah. So
I think I get you, and I know that was coming to that place.
Okay,
the facility.
Just give me so that I can explain, so that we can inform even those who are protesting, so that if you're protesting, you protest on the information. Don't just protest, Yeah. So the question is, if you listen to his statement, and he said very well that we do not want to admit anybody with Ebola because we put the interest of the United States first. For your information, when you look at the United States, when you look at their CDC headquarters, since time immemorial, when such contagious disease especially affect their citizens, they have facilities and the universities, especially that deals with infectious disease. One of them being in the DC, which they've done. Even if you go to a majority of their platforms, they are saying this is the first time it is happening. So the question is, if it was that they do not want to allow anybody to enter United States who is exposed to Ebola, then why was Kenya chosen to be a quarantine place for them?
I think there's a lot that we also have to break down. And before I get to there, I want to also agree that the quarantine facility, they are putting it for US citizens, which as a responsible Kenya, the question we should be asking, we should not be opposing it. Actually, we should be supporting and saying that we need this thing to be done, but don't do it for US victims. Do another one similar to the one you're doing for US for Kenyan citizens. That is how we're going to benefit. Number two, we also need to say that this money that you're going to give, of course, if you look at some of the detail, there's some money that is going to be given not for Kenya, but for the entire region. So can they increase, can they ensure that they increase this money, because this money is not enough? And number three, we also need to tell them, can you ensure that you train our medics so that they can also be able to swiftly respond as yours? So we need to negotiate for a better deal, because number one, there's one thing that I don't know if many Kenyans know, that it is not this current regime that is getting into this agreement. It is an agreement that we had from 2015. It got renewed in 2022, and we have nothing to do with it. The only thing we can do is to renegotiate the deal and ensure that we get some better deal, because as far as we are going to get some benefits, but US is having an upper hand. Then the fact, the wordings that were also used, that we don't want Ebola in our country, is also demeaning And it also shows, I think that is what people are angry about. But if you look at it on the other side, if you flip on it, you'll find that it's a deal that is good, because at the end of the day, Kenyans are going to remain with these resources. So can we now call on this government that a mistake happened in 2015, a mistake happened in 2022, we signed things that are now putting us into this place. So can we now negotiate so that we have some good benefits, so that this kind of facility can be built also for Kenyans? They can also facilitate the training of our medics so that they can also be ready, because Ebola might visit us anytime. Then apart from that, they can also increase the funding, because already we are in it. We cannot get out of it. So, people have now taken the political direction.
And I agree with you, Leo.
Ben, labda nimuulize ndugu yangu leo swali moja tu.
Okay, sawa, endelea.
Ya, kwanza nimwambie aache ubaguzi, mimi na yeye hatuna ugomvi. Apokeza msimamo kama kawa, kama dawa. Bwana Leo, mimi na wewe tumetoka mbali jamaangu, mwenyewe ni shahidi. So salamu za Mungu tu jamaangu. Huu kuja tayari na salamu za Mungu. Kwanza pokea zangu za nguvu. Pili, umeniambia kwamba umezungumza kwamba tuangalia on a positive way, of which nimekusikiza vizuri. Sawa, yote yale atajengwa, mwisho wa siku atabaki papa hapa katika taifa letu. Watalimu tutakuwa nao, vyombo hivyo vya kumiliki aswa vya kutengeneza tutakuwa navyo. Sawa, sijakataa. Lakini mbona haraka mno? Na uniambia kwa nini nasema ni haraka mno? Jambo lolote ambalo linafaa lije hapa haswa lenye manufaa katika taifa lazima lipitie bunge, lipitie kwa mwananchi. Ni kweli hili jambo nasema kwamba, maana hapo ndo tunakanganyana hapo kwa kutafuta excuse, kwamba kwa kutafuta excuse ya kuweza kulipaka mafuta lionekane vizuri, kwamba lilianzishwa mwaka wa 2015. Kwa hivyo si jambo geni lilikuwa limeanzishwa pale, sababu ambao unataka kujitetea nayo. Lakini ukweli wa mambo, kama lilianzishwa 2015, je, public participation, bunge hilo la wakati huo, bunge la 2017 2022 na bunge hili ambalo limeingia, je, liliwahi kuleta huo mswada haswa kikamilifu? Na ikiwa bado, kwa nini linapitishwa haraka? Lengo ni lipi?
Okay. All right. Leo, write that one down. I'm also giving you a question because I think you're the best candidate for us to inform us. Just keep that one for Msimamo, so you will answer so many questions here. Okay. Secondly, you've spoken well about retraining of our health care or our professionals who are in the medic. But me and especially the Ebola, how it is, and we are reflecting especially on our system, especially when it comes to healthcare and our hospital. And when we are talking about the Ebola, we are not going only to train the healthcare workers, we are going to train including the first responders. When I talk about the first responder here, I talk about our police, men and women in uniform, because they will be especially the people who are writing those reports, especially if somebody has been exposed or somebody died, there will be also the people who will be manning the security. So tell me, especially, how are our preparedness, especially to combat this, train our all doctors, especially in a way to combat, especially this, their safeguards, that is one. Secondly, our men and women who are exposed, then talking about the facilities that maybe we need to have, bearing in mind our population, and we just want to kutegemea. How preparedness, especially, are we, especially even if you take out the United States, you're looking at our medical system, the technology and all that we have. How prepared are we, especially to protect Kenyan citizens to be exposed? But if we are exposed, how are we prepared, especially to deal with it? Leo?
Done?
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much. Kwanza, I think I've seen my brother there long time. I don't know how Homa Bay is doing. Alafu salamu kwake Msimamo. Samahani, wakati nilipojiunga na nyinyi hapa, nikana kwamba brother Benson alikuwa amekuficha nyuma ya tent, si kuweza kukuona. So Siwezi nikakosa kukupa salamu. Najua tumetoka mbali sana, tumetoka mbali. Huu serikali ambayo tunayounga mkono sasa hivi, mimi na wewe tulipigania karibu kufa, na unaelewa hayo. Ni historia ndefu. Tukikumbuka kina Gaucho, kina Omosh, ni historia ndefu. Tulikosa usingizi usiku na mchana tukiwa tunapiga serikali ya Ruto, lakini baadaye wengine wetu tulikuja tukabadilisha nia baada ya kuona kuwa kumbe hatukuwa tunaamini mambo mengine yanaweza fanyika, na tunaona kuwa yanafanyika. So kwanza kabisa nikianzia swali lako la kwanza, umesema kwa nini haraka huu? Kwa nini watu wakimbize shughuli kama huu? Ningependa kuambia kuwa umesema vizuri, hakukuwa na public participation. Haya ni mambo ambayo yalitendeka pale 2015, hawakufanya public participation. Kukuja 2022 wakakuja wakafanya renewal. So kumaanisha ni makosa yalitendeka, tena wakakuja wakayarudia. Sasa hivi hatuwezi tukai-cancel kwa sababu hatukufanya public participation. Hayo yalipitwa na wakati. Hata ukienda kotini kuna yale maneno jaji wanakuambia maneno kama haya yashapitwa na wakati, tulishatoka huko. Pengine tugange yajayo, tukiweza kupata nafasi mwingine, pengine tutaanza kuzungumza, tujue kuwa public participation na kila kitu kimeangaliliwa. Alafu ukisema kwa nini haraka, umejua vitu kama magonjwa wakati walipokuwa wanaagana, ukisoma kile agano ambao walikuwa nayo, hawakuwa wamespecify wakasema ni Ebola, lakini walizungumzia magonjwa kama haya. Hasa magonjwa kama yale ambayo walizungumzia yametokezea, na ugonjwa umejua haina subra, haitangojea muende muangalie mfanye vipi. So inabidi muanze kushughulika haraka ilivyo. Ndiposa unaona kuwa Waamerikani hata wanaona ni kama tunawapotezea wakati kwa kwenda kotini. Naweza enda kotini siku ya kwanza, tuende kila siku, lakini mwishowe tulishajiandikisha pale, tulishajifunga, hakuna njia ya kutoka. Ndio kwa maana nilikwambia kile tunafaa kufanya sisi kama Wakenya, tunafaa kuomba rais wetu, kwa sababu haya makosa yalitendeka.
Leo shikilia hapo, usifike kwa rais wetu, ni rais wako, shikilia hapo hapo kwa rais wetu usifike. Kwanza ni jambo ukisema kwamba hili kwanza mtambo wa siku 7, mtambo wa siku 7 huu tu kujengwa siku 7 tu, si kwamba unatakia wiki. Siku 7 unajengwa, mtambo unakamilika. Haraka ya nini?
Haraka ni kuwa ugonjwa huu hautangojea. Sasa hivi mtu akiweza kushikwa na ugonjwa huo, ugonjwa hautangojea unipatie wiki 2.
Unazo dalili zilizotokeza popote kutoka utaanzia hii Ebola, pengine katika mipaka yetu, labda umeruka Uganda, umekuja Kenya, kuna kisa kimoja ama viwili vitatu vimejitokeza katika taifa letu.
Leo sijui nikusaidia mahali.
Mzalendo, wakati corona ulipoanza tulikuwa tunazungumza hivi, lakini siku moja ambayo tuliambiwa kuwa tuko na case 1, hapo ndio tulikuja kujua hii kitu iko serious. So nilikuwa nasema hivi, the only thing we can do right now is to ask the government through the parliament, these politicians and the members of parliament and the senators, including your current famous Senator Sifuna, who is making noise. They need to go to the Senate and the parliament and ask for renegotiation. They ask the government, these two governments, that, oh, we had this agreement, okay? We are having an agreement of 7 years. This thing has happened, that now, can we now renegotiate? Then now it brings me to the question that Brother Benson have asked. Are we prepared? The answer is no, we are not prepared. We don't have those kind of facilities in this country. We don't have that infrastructure. Even our police officers, those people working in the health, those people working in the security, those people working in the service industry like the hotels, they don't even know what to do in such cases. So this is the time that we need to use our unity to force the United States of America that as they are preparing to protect their people, of course, their people, most of them are in Kenya, most of them are having their business and they keep on moving and they might be affected. So as they are preparing to protect their people, why can't they also do the same preparation to help us Kenyans? As they are building their facility, why, instead of building a US only facility, why can't they build even a Kenyan facility? So at the end of the day, we are going to benefit. We are going to get prepared. They're going to help us to prepare so that this virus, when it comes, it won't know that you are American, you are Ugandan, or you are Kenyan. So it is going to affect all of us. But as US are preparing, can't we just convince them that instead of doing it for Americans only, do another one for Kenyans? We give them conditions through renegotiation, but opposing it and are not having any plan on our own, I think it's not making sense. Yeah.
Leo swali langu la mwisho, hivi na maana Museveni ambaye yuko karibu na Kongo ambapo visa hivyo vinapatikana Kongo na yuko karibu kabisa na Kongo mpakani, afunge mpaka wake, then
atafunga mpaka hadi
tulia kwanza, nataka tuelewane vizuri tu, hatua baada hatua. Then sisi sasa, kwa sababu tuna haraka mno ya kuweza unaambiwa ni bora kuziba ufa kuliko kujenga ukuta, ama kinga ni bora kuliko tiba. So sawa, fine kwa hilo, lakini je, mbona Uganda ambaye ni jirani pale afunge mpaka yake na asipewe hii quarantine? Mbona sisi wa Kenya? Pili na mwisho kabisa, umezungumzia 2015 umezungumzia 2015 kaka Nyabaya, kwamba lilizungumzwa viongozi waliopo sasa katika uongozi ndio waliokuwa wakati huo.
Yes.
Je, hili nalo unasemaje, haswa kwa faida ya Mkenya yule na kwa faida ya yule ambaye anatusikiza hapa, ili tuondoane na huu shabiki mwingi ambao tunauingiza katika jambo ambalo ni la afya? Asante.
Okay, asante sana. Maybe leo sijui kama labda utajibu, uchukue nafasi.
Anataka kumjibu tu kwanza. Kuna swali kila Mkenya amekuwa akiuliza. Ebola is in DRC. Why are they passing DRC? Why are they passing Uganda? Why is it that they are coming to Kenya? Is Kenya dumping a site or something like that? I think you know very well that Kenya is strategically positioned itself as far as business is. We have business partners. Number two, DRC as we speak currently is not a stable country. They cannot enter into any stable agreement with any serious country. So Kenya has got so many bilateral trade agreements with these foreign countries, and it is so strategic and it is so important compared to Uganda and DRC. Kenya is a business hub. And actually, had we even improved or developed our airport right now, we'll be ahead of USA, because most of the people who are transiting or people who are traveling, they will be using our airport here. We are at a strategic position that even somebody who wants to go to USA from that DRC will have to pass through Kenya before they move. Apart from Kenya, most of them go to Addis Ababa or Egypt. So we cannot say that why Kenya. It is why Kenya, because Kenya is having business friends and business partners. We are the partners who are there. Uganda doesn't have any existing agreement. So right now, Ebola is there. You want US to start making an agreement that will take all those processes of public participation. They are wasting a year, and the disease is near. And you also want them to do the same with the DRC. So when you have a problem, when you want to borrow something, you don't have milk in your house, you don't go to a new shop, because in that shop you need to start buying until you get used to that person, is when they can be able to give you credit. So ukiwa pale umekosa hela na una chakula nyumbani, utaenda kwa yule umekuwa ukimkopa kila siku, manake yule ashakuzoea, kuna kitabu chako pale atakupatia na kuandika jina.
Leo naanguka katika viatu vya hizi propaganda ambazo zinabebwa, ambazo mimi napingana nazo kama msimamo. La kwanza, ukisema kwamba tuko mbele kiuchumi na tunajiandaa tuko mbele kiuchumi, hii ni sababu ambayo imetolewa juzi katika masuala na mafuta. Kwa nini bei hii yetu iko juu na bei zingine, ambao kwa kweli mimi kwangu ni ukakasi. Pili, ukisema kwamba uchumi umeimarika, kwamba sisi tuko mbele hao wengine, kwa hivyo hili najiuliza zaidi, tuko mbele kiuchumi, tuko mbele zidi ya mataifa mengine kinamna gani, ili hali watoto mpaka sasa hivi wamekaa nyumbani, hawajui haswa wazazi wao watalipia watoto wao shule namna gani. Afya bado haswa ni kizungumkuti. Tuko mbele kiuchumi kinamna gani zidi ya mataifa mengine, kwamba tupokee haswa hili kwa sababu sisi tuko mbele dhidi ya hao wengine aje. Hebu nataka unifafanulie hapo kakangu
msimamo. Sikuwa nimemaliza, nilikuwa nataka kupatia majibu mawili. Why Kenya, not Uganda? Number one, Uganda is currently or actively dealing with the spread of the disease, and they're trying to manage their border because they are close to DRC. So you'll find that bringing exposed people to Uganda is not going to solve anything, because Uganda is also dealing with a similar problem. But the logic, when you come to Kenya, it has got 0 reported cases. Meaning, when you place a facility in a country like Kenya where the virus is not there, you'll find that you are going to ensure a highly controlled environment. Uko na kuku mgonjwa, ukienda kumweka karibu na kuku wagonjwa, hautakuwa umesaidia kitu. Ukiwa na kuku mgonjwa, unamweka mahali umejua hakuna kuku mwenye atamwambukiza tena, ni yeye tu utakuwa unamwangalia, umfungie na ujue surrounding hakuna kuku mwenye anaweza muambukiza tena, kuliko kupeleka kuku wako mgonjwa mahali tayari kuna ugonjwa, utakuwa unamhatarisha maisha yake zaidi.
Okay. All right, Mr. Leo, thank you so much for your responses, but I think we still have more to discuss about this. Let me take this opportunity to give Marco Bora maybe to say hi, then I'll come back to you, especially to ask you a few questions, especially based on this, because you seems to be having the first-hand information, especially being that, you are somebody who is supporting the government. With us, we take neutral, like somebody like me, I take neutral space because like I need to inform the public, and also you give us information about the government. So that is something that we do here. Makobura, what do you have to say?
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Allow me to say hi to you. Allow me to say hi to Msimamo and to our good friend Leo. And our good friend Leo seems to be partly I don't know. I'll stop at that point. But let me just put it this way. Personally, the issue that Leo is giving his views on, the issue of Ebola and the contract between Kenya and the US. Personally, I believe that Kenyans' lives matter. The same way, if you had the statement from the United States representative saying that they will protect America with everything they have, and they will ensure that that particular disease will not get to America. The only worry that I have is we are all human beings, and if Corona started in DRC, and let me first speak about COVID-19. You know, COVID-19 started in China, and it spread all over the world. If America wanted to defend or to ensure that they protected their people, I don't know, maybe they would have stopped people from going to America, or they would have done something else. So many countries went that way, but they never succeeded. This is a global thing. Similar to what is happening with Ebola, it is one of the most deadliest. And from my understanding, we have no record of anybody who has had this particular disease here in Kenya. The only worry I have as a Kenyan citizen is, why would America bring exposed people, citizens, to Kenya? And probably those might be the first people who would be listed as the people who have contracted this particular disease. And being that this is a disease that spreads so fast, these Americans will get to Laikipia, and possibly Laikipia would be the breeding point of this particular disease, and automatically it will spread to the entire country. So my advice to the leadership is, with the same measure that United States of America are trying to protect the citizens, let the government of the Republic of Kenya do the same. The Constitution of the Republic of Kenya is very clear. As the president is being sworn in, there are oaths that he takes, and part of it is protecting its citizens. Protecting the citizens starts by first ensuring that the Constitution is followed to the letter. I wonder, because from my understanding, and the president is a Christian, he partly understands that taking the oath is an oath between the people, and of course between him, the people, and God. And the way he has always told us about Christianity and all those kind of things, from my understanding, he would first protect his people before making any other move. Another worry that I have is, I've always understood that anything that is involving the livelihood of a people or the citizens they should be involved. They should be involved in this manner. Remember, the lives of Kenyans are at stake at this particular stage. The move that the government has taken, it is negatively affecting the lives of the people of Kenya. If this move, if they have decided that they're going with it, the best thing they would have said is give a clarification to the people of Kenya so that they also get to know. Even if there's nobody who is going to protect them, as the government is trying to portray it, then they should give the people of Kenya, an information so that they be aware of what is happening. Health is a devolved thing. The county government of Laikipia confirmed the other day that they were not even involved. There is nothing like public participation. You are importing a very dangerous disease all the way from DRC, bringing it here in Kenya, and you want the people of Kenya to be quiet just because a government
you don't need to use the word importing, and you don't need to talk of you need to be informed that right now we don't talk of public participation because this is an agreement that existed from 2015. So how do you sign an agreement and do a public participation in 2020?
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, Bwana Leo. And I just want to use this example. For example, I've seen the issue of Utumishi girls, where quite a number of whether activists or bloggers are saying that, they're talking about the issue of CCTV. That why is it that the CCTV was installed in the dormitory where there's, girls, things to do with privacy and all those kind of things. This evening, I was just having a conversation with a renowned lawyer, and I was asking him, is it making sense that the bloggers are coming out to say that was it necessary, that it was wrong, that things to do with privacy was not being respected by installing that particular CCTV in the dormitory? And I remember him telling me that, well, we have a constitution, we have the laws, but sometimes, even if this issue is taken to court, for example, what is the bigger thing that people are looking? There's life here. There's life that is involved. Well, the CCTVs were there. They partly invaded the privacy and all those kind of things. But the argument here should be, if that CCTV, for example, was not there, how would they have known? How would they have had maybe an evidence of what might have happened? So it is similar thing. I'm trying to give that example. The reason why I'm giving that example is, well, the issue of Ebola is here. It is in the world, but it is not yet here in Kenya. What is it that we can do as a people? What is it that we can do as a government? And that is what US is doing. Why is it that we are not doing the same here in Kenya? Does it mean that other lives are more important than other lives? That is my take, Bwana Leo.
All right.
Before I forget, I noted some points that I just want to go through.
Okay, go ahead.
Number one, I don't want to be seen as supporting the importation of a virus, but I want to make it clear that I'm supporting the importation of a better shield. I think you get the difference. I'm not supporting the importation of the virus, but I'm supporting the importation of a world-class shield. This is a world-class shield that is going to be imported by the Americans into our country, what they call the isolation center. Just as Aden Duale did tell you, we know that Nairobi is a travel hub, and that is in no doubt. No country is a travel hub within the Eastern Africa. No country receives the magnitude of the flights that we receive on our daily basis at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. We've been receiving and even intercepting people who are going as long as Entebbe to Kinshasa in Congo. But what we know, the airport that we have does not only lie on the temperature checks. So when these people are going to build this isolation center, they are not going to just stop at building it in Laikipia, but they are going to put on measures to ensure that these patients or these suspected patients or anybody who is coming to the country undergoes mandatory checks, which includes the temperature checks and the screenings at the airport. So by doing that, they are going to ensure that anybody who has got some some symptoms or something like that is intercepted and taken directly to Laikipia. So if that is the worry, then we need, listen, number two, I know we have to talk of catching it before it hits the public. We know very well this thing is when it is active. So how sure are we? Kenya is going to, through the US, they're going to establish some secure specialized centers, containment centers. And these centers are going to be the ones that they are going to use to intercept, to isolate before these people are taken to the military base. I know those are the worries that people are having. Then number two, this comes with... let me just finish. I'll give you time to correct you.
We need to
I allowed you.
We need to correct you because, like, Leo, you know, we are speaking about our country. The same way you love your country is the same way I love.
I love my country, actually.
Yeah, don't let us. This is something that we need to talk about. There is nobody who feels that they love Kenya 50% and the people who love it 20%. The same way you are giving those points about your country because you're contributing to save your country is the same way that I want to give them. But something that we have to agree here, we have to agree on the modalities and the methodologies on how we can keep Kenya safe. Then we have to agree where the contentious issue is. The contentious issue is not about the American bringing some lot. We are looking at the precautions of the Kenyan population. And something that we have to agree with you is that the Laikipia Center is not meant for Kenyan citizens. That is where we want to agree with you.
Actually, I talked of that. That one I agreed, and I told you we need to have a renegotiation. Yes.
Yes. So what we should be talking about here, we should be talking about that. How can we create a proper safeguard for the country? Because if you are even par ahead with the news, the American already sent their specialists, especially those who are 30, they were 30 in number based on various specialization in the medical field. And this were basically going to deal with the Americans.
And, Brother Ben, I get what you're saying, but how do we reach a point of renegotiating and telling them that this facility, you should not just build your facility, you also build our facility? We can't reach at that point when we start by opposing. You don't reach at that point when you're opposing. And what we have to agree, number one, opposing it right now is impossible because we are opposing something that we'd already agreed to. It comes with the cost.
No, what was agreed upon, Leo, it was not agreed upon that when we have such like situation that you are going to build the facility. When we reach the site location, how are we going to collaborate in that you assist us with the requirement that we need? For example, how are you going to make sure that we have enough gloves, protecting gears for our doctors, especially who are in daily contact with?
Then can I answer that? Allow me to answer that. That's a good question.
Let me just
what we need to ask right now, you are building yours. How are we going to cope up to protect Kenyans? And that's what I've told you, to protect Kenyans. Number one, we are getting, like, I'll get to what the UN did during COVID, the facility that they built at Nairobi Hospital that is currently helping us. Before you get there, what are we going to do? They are giving you $13.5 US, that is million, for preparedness. So they've started from there. Why are they giving us that money?
Okay.
That money is not for them. That money is to prepare and combat ourselves.
And yes, but remember,
hapo kaka Ben, hapo kwa hiyo pesa anazungumzia hivi leo, anataka niambie Mwamerika yeye kwa akili zake apiane mradi huo for free. Mwamerika huyo awe hana kitu ambacho amekigodolea macho katika taifa hili? Hebu leo tuambie vizuri, ndugu yangu, wewe unaangalia tu haya peke yake kwamba ni mradi mkubwa wa hela nini, lakini haswa mwenye kutoa huu mradi, je, anategemea nini haswa atakachokipata katika taifa hili, au ni msaada tu?
Alipotupatia pesa,
hali wagonjwa hao Ebola hawataki kuona hata kwa mpaka wake.
Listen, the America highlighted, Brother Ben, I think you also highlighted here, that this fund that they are giving us, it is not just for makeshift tents, it is the funds that are critical for medical supplies that you are mentioning there, for advanced laboratory reagents that are going to run this test 24/7 at our entry and exit point. Of course, it is our people who are going to be entering and exiting, and also for the personal protective equipment, the PPEs. So that is why they're giving 13.5 US dollars, the million for protecting us, of which if we don't have the facility here, we are also having this infrastructure, we are also not having this money, and we get corona, not theirs, we get the Ebola.
Leo,
So
let
it's
me
going
ask
to be
you.
worse. Look at the
Let me
UN
ask you a
president. What
question.
happened in the precedence that was set when the UN built a facility during corona at the Nairobi hospital? Do you remember?
Allow me
Yes.
to ask you this question.
And you know,
Yes.
Makubura,
When the
wait.
crisis faded, that facility is currently helping us.
And
Ebola
you
is not
know,
going to be there forever.
you see, what is
Yes.
there, Leo? You know, I agree with everything that you are saying, and I agree with the information that you are giving. But something that also we have to agree here, the facility that is being built
Is not ours. That is true.
not ours. And
Yeah,
these are facilities that we are going to rely on. We are going to rely on the facilities that we had previously. And our
and
question
they're giving
is,
us money to upgrade ours.
okay, it's okay, but we are looking at our system.
Hey.
We are looking at our system. I'm speaking from a point of some of us who have interacted, even have gone to these hospitals. You know, as we currently speak, we have some of our relatives who have visited hospitals that are sharing beds. You know, I want you to think on that perspective. You know, and do you think
You know,
the
brother
current what
Ben,
we have, the safeguards that we have in place, even with the money that we have been given, in case there is an outbreak, how soonest
But now,
are we going to use
I
that?
think, Ben, the government clarified that the Laikipia facility is just one of the 12. They want to build 12 centers nationwide.
let
These
me
12
tell you
centers
something. Leo.
are going to serve
You know,
Kenyans.
Leo, I
Yes.
don't know whether you are currently in the country. I don't know whether you are in Kenya or you are outside Kenya currently. Would you confirm kindly?
No,
Are you within the country?
I just left Siaya 3 weeks ago.
So meaning you're not within
I
the
was in
country,
Siaya
right?
3 weeks ago, of course.
Meaning you're not within the country, right?
Yeah, but I'm
Let me
getting back
confirm to
shortly.
you. Yeah, let me confirm to you what is happening in Kenya. And let me speak about the capital city of Kenya. We have Nairobi here. In Nairobi,
Yes.
we have some sub-county hospitals. We have Mama Lucy. There's this one here at Mbagathi. There's Kenyatta. Normally, those are the biggest hospitals that normal Kenyans would get to. If not Kenyatta, which is a national hospital, they would go to Mbagathi, they would go to Mama Lucy. Brother Ben here can confirm to you, if you go to Mama Lucy today, just one bed, you will find at least 2 or 3 patients in one bed. So in a situation where, let's just reason as big people and as adults, as people who are exposed for that matter, in a situation where Ebola gets to the country, let me say here in Nairobi, do you think we have the capacity to handle that? My thinking is,
We don't have the capacity.
why would we expose the people of Kenya to Ebola if we can automatically stop it from getting to the country, so that we don't find ourselves in a situation where 3 people are going to share one bed? Let us be practical here and be truthful enough. There's no need of accepting the money from America. I don't know, it's 13 billion or 10 billion. If we can stop the issue of Ebola, the whole of it. The moment we
I
allow,
think, Marco Buddha,
allow me
before
to
you
finish.
continue, that's an interesting point. You said, why would
Allow me to
we
just finish.
expose Kenyans when you can stop it? Let me give you a medical fact. Ebola doesn't choose Americans.
Yeah.
Ebola will not pass Kenya and follow Americans. So number one, this mentality and belief that it is only the Americans who are going to be isolated in Kenya who can be able to transfer Ebola here should be null and void. If these Americans can transfer Ebola to a Kenyan when they're isolated in Kenya, then that Congolese or that Nigerian businessman who has gone to buy gold in Congo passing through Nairobi can also do the same. So we are at equal risk with Americans isolated in Kenya or not isolated in Kenya. That's a medical fact that we have to understand. Then the next question is, how prepared are we?
That's
so
my
see,
question.
Once
If you ask
in that
Sasa
direction,
uliza
then we are going to
kama ni hivyo leo, kama ni hivyo basi unavyomaanisha, basi Mkenya ulizwa na afiki hili ama haafiki kupitia public participation, kwa sababu ukiniambia lilizungumza awali kama ulivyotangulia kusema lilianza 2015 2022 likawa renewed. Mimi hapo sijakupata, kwa sababu mwananchi hapa hajahusishwa. Hili taifa si viongozi tu kwamba wakiamua waamue tu jambo kama hili. Je, maoni ya Wakenya ambao wanaletwa huu mradi venye unaopamba na kupaka mafuta yanasemaje? Yanaheshimiwa?
Okay, Makobura
msimamo wale viongozi ambao walikuwa pale awali waliharibu nchi yetu, hawako wanasikia yale maoni ya Wakenya, na tuko mahali tuko sasa hivi.
Nani ambao waliharibu viongozi waliopo, walikuwepo, toka huko kwenye siasa hiyo Babu.
Ndio nakwambia wanakuja kulaumu serikali
wakina nani?
Walituweka hapo.
Okay.
Wakina nani na walikuwa ndani ya serikali ya 2015,
2022 na Babu wino wanamfanyia kazi.
Hebu kwanza tulieni. Unajua Kenya nimepata hata sisi hapa hatukui wazalendo ya nchi yetu. Mimi ndio jambo ambalo nimepata hapa, kwa sababu kuna kasumba ambayo sisi kama nchi tuko nayo, ambapo tukipatwa na janga ama tukipatwa na shida, unapata kwamba lawama tunarushia wale ambao walikuwepo hapo awali, na ni jambo ambalo lita siku moja kitakuja kuharibu.
That is the psychology thinking of the people who are supporting the government.
Not that Makobura, this
majority of them.
Not even like the people who are supporting the government. It is something that Kenyans will have to deal with, and if they want to at least wasaidie nchi yao, hiyo ni kitu ambacho kitabidi waangalie. Kila mtu, hata sisi ambao sisi tupo hapa ambao tunakuwa na mazungumzo leo, ndugu yangu Makobura na msimamo, tuna mapungufu zetu. Hata katika uongozi ambao sisi tuko nazo, pahali ambapo sisi tuko na mapungufu, na katika mapungufu zetu za uongozi kuna shida ambazo labda tunaweza fanya, zinaweza tokea katika uongozi wetu. Lakini tuseme kwamba mimi nimekuja nikapata kwamba kulikuwepo na mapungufu ya ndugu yangu leo, kama mimi kiongozi naweza tumia hekima gani ili mapungufu ambapo ilikuwa katika uongozi wake mimi nizibe? Si labda kosa kikifanyika tuseme kwamba ule pia alifanya. Ni kasumba ambayo sisi tuko nayo kama Wakenya. Unaona kama sasa ndugu yangu anasema watu kama Sifuna kwa sababu walikuwa lakini janga ambalo lipo inaangamiza Wakenya. Situkuje na njia mkakati mzuri tujaribu kuzuia. Tusiwache watu wakakufa kwa sababu makosa yalifanywa na Uhuru Kenyatta ama makosa yamefanywa na Rais William Ruto na hiyo serikali ambapo itakuja. Hiyo ndio maana ulipatiwa nafasi kubadilisha uongozi. Uongozi unabadilisha kwa sababu unaona uongozi ambapo ilikuwepo haikufanya vyema, na ndio maana ulichaguliwa kwa msingi kwamba utarekebisha yale ya kihistoria yalifanywa vibaya ama zilifanya kwa ukatili. Sasa ikifika kwako isikuwe kwamba unailaumu, na wewe ulichaguliwa kwa msingi ya kwamba yule alikuwepo nyuma yako alifanya makosa. Hiyo ni jambo. Mwisho, kama nawachia Makobura aendeleze kipindi. Leo kuna jambo ambalo ulizungumzia ambapo mimi naona kwamba na sikubaliani na wewe. Kwa sababu tuseme kwamba makubaliano yalikuwa kati ya nchi yetu ya Kenya na nchi ya Marekani kulingana na yale maandishi tunaona katika mtandao. Lakini mimi sidhani kama maandiko ama yale mazungumzo yao ilikuwa ni kwamba jambo kama hili ikitokea, sisi kama Waamerika tutawapatia hii, lakini tena tunawapatia na fedha. Kuna zile baadhi ya vitu ambazo walikubaliana nao, kwa sababu kitu ambacho lazima tukubaliane kwamba ikifika hapa katika hali ya afya, Kenya bado tuko nyuma zaidi. Ni ambapo tunataka usaidizi, kufanya research. Hatuna places mingi ambazo tunaweza sema kwamba we can carry out our research. That is something that we have to agree. And how can we carry those research? We carry out those research by them providing us with facilities such as money to enable us resources. But I do not think, maybe you can inform me, that in the event of giving us those resources in an exchange that we have to put on these facilities, there's what we call precautions, yeah, or proactive. How can we become proactive as a country? We are not exposed. I'm not exposed to the money coming, but one, the messaging. Let me tell you where the problem is, Leo. Is the messaging. How is the government carrying out this kind of messaging to the Kenyan public? How, in the first event, how did you come to know that the facility was being constructed in Laikipia for the Ebola patients? How did you come to know it? Do you know where I came to know it? Before Washington Post. That's where I came to know it. Before even the government communicated it to people, you know. So that's where the problem is. The problem is the communication that the government have. There is that not clear communication between the government and its people. If the leaders in Laikipia, are not even aware that there was a construction facility that was taking place in their country, do you think that one alone is a big problem? Because you have to let the leaders in that area understand, discuss about it. You come into public, they come into public and say that, okay, we've talked to the president or we've talked to the government. This is what is going to happen. It makes it easier for you not to get resistance. So if you can work on their messaging, if the government can work on their messaging and how they deliver this, I tell you, my friend, things will be, we could not be reaching whereby there's a friction. But that proactiveness as a nation, we need to have. And this blame game, it will cost us a lot. Unapata kwamba watu nasema Matiang'i sijui aliua watu sijui Rivayala. So you justify, you know, that is something that it's not good in the country. If somebody had a weak point, build on that weak point and make a good leadership. That is how I think. Maybe I'm wrong in my thinking, Leo.
Brother Ban, you are right. And there's one thing that I also agree with you, that how the government communicates its policies. And there's a specific reason why each and every government department has got who is called a cabinet secretary. A cabinet secretary in each department is not a technocrat to run the daily activities in the ministry. A cabinet secretary is the political head or the political representative in that ministry who should be communicating these policies after getting information from the technocrats that are within the cabinet. So in this case, I think the ministries involved, like the Ministry of Health, the people at the top there are the ones who are letting us down. All this information they had, they knew it, but now how do they communicate it? Once they fail to communicate it actively, then now propaganda and people use it negatively, and this one is going to cost the sitting government because people have now given misinformation out there. I told you when I started that when I was listening at one of the men who was demonstrating there, he didn't even know why he was demonstrating. Yeah, they're just like they are importing Ebola, and you see, I don't know, money. So they didn't even know what they were talking about. But if these policies can be communicated well, citizens will be able to understand that we are likely to get Ebola. We are actually, we are at risk of getting Ebola, but we are not yet prepared. So we could be able to look at the advantages and the disadvantages of setting up this kind of facility. And all this debate will not be there. Na bado naturudisha tu kwa yale msimamo alisema. Mwananchi wa kawaida je alihusishwa? Hali ya kuhusisha mwananchi wa kawaida, yes, ndio maana unamwelezea labda inamaanisha hii, lakini kama hawahusisha hawaelewi.
Labda nikuulize swali kabla uendelee, kaka yangu, kwa faida ya wale ambao wanatusikiliza na kwa faida yetu pia. Hivi ulifanya mabadiliko yako lini? Maana tulikuwa pamoja wakati ule tukipinga. Mabadiliko yako uliyafanya punde baada ya hili kuchukua ama baada ya ile resolution ya jamii ambayo ilisababisha wa broad-based government na
you're not clear. I think you're breaking. Maybe
ananipata vizuri sasa?
Yes, proceed.
Yes, nitaka kumuuliza kaka yangu leo kwamba lini alifanya mabadiliko yake haswa kwa sababu tulikuwa pamoja wakati ule haswa tukipinga haswa kwa pamoja, na leo unaona mwenzangu ana support hii serikali. Labda ni pindi ilipochukua hatamu ya uongozi ama ni baada haswa ya hii revolution ya hawa chipukizi Gen Z, na kisha kukazaliwa broad based government na ukaamua kusupport government. Lini ulichukua maamuzi yako?
Samahani, msimamo, wacha niweze kujibu swali la mwisho. Pengine sikuweza kusikia swali la kwanza. Nakumbuka vizuri mimi pamoja na wewe ni mojawapo ambao watu walikuwa wanapinga sana huu serikali, na tulitumia njia zote hadi alifika mahali hata sisi tulikuja si eti tuliachana. Nina furaha kwamba wewe bado umesimamia ule msimamo wako uliokuwa nao, lakini mimi baada ya kuketi chini, umejua mimi sikumpigia Rais Ruto kura, sikuamini kuwa yale alikuwa anasema anaweza kuyatenda, lakini kila uchao naona vitu vikiwa tofauti. Wakati alikuwa anazungumzia affordable houses, mimi nilikuwa nadhani ni ndoto tu. Leo hii nikienda kwetu pale Siaya naona affordable houses. Nikipita pale Kisumu karibu napotea. Nikienda pale Homa Bay napotea. Unasikiza? Sasa kaka, baada ya kuona kuwa vitu vimeanza kufanya kazi jinsi alivyokuwa anasema, nilibadilisha msimamo, nikaona kumbe huyu jamaa sikuwa anamwamini, lakini naona anafanya vitu tofauti. Nimeona vitu vimetendeka kuliko vile nilikuwa naona, manake nilikuwa wakati wa Uhuru Kenyatta kuna vile vitu havikuwa vinaendelea, lakini sasa hivi nikiangalia jinsi serikali inahusiana na watu, jinsi serikali inafikia watu na zile services ambazo serikali inapatia watu, unaona kumbe vitu vinafanya kazi. Na kwa ukweli hakuna kile kinaweza kutendeka kwa siku moja. Wanasemanga Rome was not built in one day, but if you look at what has happened within these 3 years and you compare to what happened in the 10 years, you'll see a big difference. I've seen somebody there talking of SHA is not working, and I think there's a lot of misinformation. Mimi mwenyewe I'm registered with the SHA and I've registered my family too with the SHA, and I can tell you SHA iliondoa ile ukora alikuwa tunaonanga ile NHIF. Wewe pesa unasikia tu ilitolewa, hospitali iko hata ijawahi unapata inafanya dialysis kama 10 na hata Kenyatta ifanyi hata 2 within a week. So I changed my mind after seeing things working. Msimamo.
Leo.
That is what actually happened.
Leo, let me ask you a question. I want you to be very honest. Honest. Do not answer this with political emotions. Tukue too truthful.
Okay. I'll really restrain myself from taking a political side on that.
Sometimes I listen to the people who support this government and how they are keen and with the energy that they use to support it, and and the examples that they are giving, and then I ask myself, kwani mimi, am I staying in a different world ama niko wapi? Brother Leo, to be too truthful, just give us your opinion. You've been in Kenya. I'm quite sure that partly you saw the government of Kibaki. We can start from there. The government of Kibaki, the government of Uhuru, the government of Ruto. And again, you're a learned young man. You've been into this country, and I like the fact that you are exposed. You've just confirmed that you are not in the country. So I'm sure you've traveled and you've learned quite a lot in terms of governance, in terms of how, our leaders operate when they're given a chance by the people. I just want to ask you a question. Being a Kenyan as well, I'm quite sure you've been within the country. You've seen how Kenyans are doing their activities, how committed they are. They wake up very early to just try, they're trying their level best to ensure that they put the food in the table on the table. And again, being that you've traveled to other countries and you've seen other leaders, and Kenya has quite a number of young people who are also learned, But the truth of the matter is there are no many opportunities for them. So some of them feel like, they're asking so many questions. They are hoping that the government would have done something, probably create, do something that would create job opportunities for them. And again, having known, I'm quite sure you have brothers younger or bigger. Partly, maybe they're also educated and they might not have the opportunity. It is not their problem that they do not have the opportunity. Probably the society is not really welcoming. There are no opportunities. Just give us your original version of thinking and tell us, comparing what you've seen in other countries, do you think we are doing well as a country? And do not give me this answer with political emotions or anything. And again, just rate the country and this government based on what you've seen around, and tell us if you really think that we are moving towards the best or the right direction. And again, possible you can give us your views on what you think should be done better as a way of ensuring that we also, get to a point where Kenyans are proud to say that we are Kenyans, we are doing well, we are here. Just give us your truthful view.
Okay. Thank you, Makubura. I think I've stayed in Kenya. I'm not that old, but I'm old enough to give comparison. Having been born when Moi was the president, I've gone to school. I've seen Kibaki as a president, seen Uhuru Kenyatta as a president, and now I'm seeing William Ruto as a president. So number one, we have all to accept that life is not easy, or things economically are not well, not only in Kenya, but across the struggling economies like ours. That one is a fact that we have to agree. Things are not well, and we hope that things are going to be better. So a good question that you've asked, are we moving forward or we're moving backwards? So in my own view, I think we're not moving backwards. We are moving forward. How do we know whether we are moving backwards? You're in a journey and you make some 20 steps. Then at some point you get back to 15 steps. You get back to 5. So when you start walking, you'll not start at 20 that you'd reach. You'll be starting at 5. So you'll be making steps. You'll have to cover those steps. So when you hear people trying to compare maybe the current economy with what we had during the time of Kibaki, these I think are people who are not logical. If you have to compare something, maybe you have to compare with the immediate one. So if you want to know your step, you don't compare your step with where you are. You compare your step with where you were yesterday. So if today I made 2 steps, tomorrow I want to make 3 steps. But don't say that, on Monday or last Monday I made 7 steps, then yesterday I made 4, so today I've made 5. Then you want to say, no, I've done bad. You've not done bad. You compare it with yesterday. So what I can say is that we are not bad off. We are moving forward. And very soon, or it might not be a year or 2 years or 3 years, but maybe in the next 4 or 5 years, even the regime that is going to come after this regime, they'll really find themselves comfortable, because Kenyans will no longer be complaining, and Kenyans will not be going on the streets because they want to express their frustrations. If you look at people are not able to pay rent right now, and if you look around, the government is struggling or is trying to build some things in the name of affordable housing. So it tells you in the next 4 years, when all these houses will be maybe at 50 or 60%, most Kenyans will be able to afford the rent. The ones who maybe bought their houses are not going to be paying rent, and there'll be enough houses that are owned or maybe that are affordable, that the one that the owners are currently hiking will not be hiked. So life will be okay. If you look around,
Brother Mark,
I'm not finished. There are people who are not able to make a kill in their businesses because the market state is pathetic. When it rains, they cannot be able to sell. Look around the country. The markets are being built everywhere. So tells you in the next 2 years, these women with a better market, which is having a freezer or a storage facility and electricity, they'll be able to maximize on the profits, easing the school fees. They'll be able to pay school fees, and they'll be able to make more. So now, right now, we have to suffer for us to enjoy in the near future. It's something that we don't want to blame the people who are there. What we need to do is
leo hizi propaganda hizi hazina mashiko, ndugu yangu.
Yes.
Leo huku kupaka mafuta kitu ambacho hakiuziki, tafadhali hebu funga stop kwanza, kwa sababu hili ni fumbo, na kawaida fumbo mfumbie mjinga siku zote mwerevu atanyamua.
Msimamo, kuna yule mtu ambaye anataka kutoa mali yake pale Mombasa ifike Malaba. Sasa anatumia pesa mingi, lakini the next 3 years SGR ikifika Malaba itampunguzia gharama.
Hakuna kitu kama hicho. Huwezi mjengea soko, huwezi mjengea mtu soko, lakini hana hata shilingi ya kwenda kuuza kiazi katika soko hilo. Huo ni mbumbumbu wa akili. Kwanza mwezeshe, tia hela kwanza kwake, mtengezee mahali kwa kufanya biashara. Hujamwezesha, unamtengezea tayari kivuli. Atauza nini mawe? Hela alionayo mfukoni anaichukua. Jamaa wangu, achilia hapo hapo. Maana hili fumbo unalifumba, lakini unamfumbia mjinga. Mwerevu atalingamua. Turudi katika swala la Ebola. Na kabla turudi katika swala la Ebola, nimekuuliza makusudi hili swali kwamba ulibadilisha lini msimamo wako? Kwa sababu wakati huo tulikuwa tunasimama kisawasawa na msimamo. Baki sasa hivi baada ya broad based government na expertise ukachange mind. Ukakuta ni wakati wa kulipiza kisasi sasa, wacha nisimame, hata kama piga huwa nitasimama hapa. Jamaa wangu, mimi nikurejeshe tu katika swala la Ebola. Ni kwa nini nataka ujibu vizuri? Ni kwa nini? Subiri ya kwanza nimalize. Subiri nimalize tu swali langu, nitakupa muda.
Mzalendo, let me tell you this. Mzalendo, msimamo, hakuna yule anayelipiza kisasi, and we've been mistaken, those of us who oppose Ruto and currently supporting Ruto, that we are
unalipiza kisasi. Niulize kwa nini nasema hivyo?
Sikiza nikueleze.
Kwa nini niseme hivyo?
Mimi nazungumza, we are not revenging anything. Those people who oppose Ruto, I included, are currently supporting Ruto because we've visibly seen what Ruto is doing. I've told you, when I go to Kisumu, when I go to Siaya, I'm seeing the affordable house. I did not believe this.
That's why I asked you the question. A very simple question. Where did you change your mind, Mr. Leo? Baada ya government ama baada ya kuchukua hii serikali ndio kaamua kufanya hivyo?
Leo, you've talked about the affordable housing. Let me ask you, do you have one?
I have one of my own, so that is why I'm paying. If I work for the government and or I work for a company in Kenya, they will deduct that percentage. Actually, it's affordable because the money comes from Kenyans. Of course, it is a tax because the main source of government, number one, people are saying that, Ruto anatumia pesa yetu kujengea nyumba. I don't know if they wanted William Ruto to use his money from the pocket. The main source of government revenue is taxes. So if the government wants to build the house, they'll have to tax you. So the government has got a right to tax you to build your affordable house, because the government William Ruto cannot remove money from his pocket to build your affordable house. So those people saying that unajua hii affordable house anajenga na pesa yetu, unataka ajenge na pesa ya nani? We are the main source of government revenue.
I've just asked you a question. Do you have one?
Yes.
Do you own one?
I don't have one because already affordable houses are for the people who don't have houses. Me, I have my own house, so I don't need one.
The second question
I can't comfortably sleep inside my house when somebody is not having a house. If the government is building for them the house, we have this capitalist mind.
Brother Leo, let's be factual here. You've said that you don't have one because you have a house. Let me ask you a question. I also have a house. Why would you force me? Or why would you cut my salary to build for someone else a house? Why would you cut my salary and already have my loans, which I'm also paying? Probably I build a house having taken a loan. Why would you then still come to take my salary?
Let me tell you why. I'll tell you why. Me, I've not been sick for the last 3 years. I've not been going to the hospital, but the government buys medicine and the government pays doctors from my tax. So do I stop paying taxes because my tax is going to be used to pay doctors and to buy education materials in school and to
Brother Leo,
maintain roads because I don't have a car? So,
these are two
think it that way.
scenarios.
If everybody was to pay for what they consume, then we will not have a country. Then because I'm not having a kid in school, or because
Let
I'm
me tell
not
you.
falling sick,
Let me
I
tell
still
you.
have to pay
Let me tell you
my SHA and my NHIF. I still have to pay taxes, and my taxes are used in maintaining the roads that I don't use. They are
Let me
used
tell
to pay the teachers, yet
Leo,
my kids are not going to those schools.
Leo,
They are used
Leo,
to pay doctors, yet I've
Leo
not been sick for the last
let
3
me
years. So
unachukua maneno
what the
mengi
government
babu,
is the
hayana
government
maana
is
yote hayo.
taxing
Enda kwa
you
swali, jibu swali,
to give services.
utaratibu, acha stori mingi. Leo
just a
tusipe
minute.
injili, unatupa injili kaka. Enda kwa
Leo,
swali
I have a
ambalo
question for
umeulizwa
you.
jepesi tu, lijibu kwa
I have a question
utaratibu,
for you, Leo.
tena kwa ufupi. Tukuulize maswali mengine kwa sababu yako mengi, kwa
Umeuliza
sababu
maswali,
tunakuhitaji hata
serikali
wewe ambaye
haijakulazimisha
unatuambia
kulipia
mazuri.
nyumba,
So usichukue
serikali
muda mwingi
itachukua
kutujibu vitu
kodi
ambavyo hakina
kwako,
maana,
lakini
unazunguka hapo
serikali
hapo.
imeamua hii kodi wanachukua watumie kujengea wale hawana nyumba. Vilevile serikali huchukua kodi kwako na kununulia wagonjwa madawa, ila wewe sio mgonjwa, na bado serikali huchukua kodi kwako kununua nayo madawa. Vilevile serikali huchukua kodi kwako na wajengee wale hawana manyumba, kwa sababu wewe una nyumba, na kama uko na nyumba haimaanishi kodi yako
Leo,
inatumika kujengea wale hawana nyumba.
Leo, you've spoken about
the good thing I have, I
just a minute.
normally understand both languages. If you do speak in English, I'm aware of it. Niko. If you do speak in Kiswahili, nipo. So there's no need for you to translate as from English to Kiswahili.
Umeanza kunichanganya na Kiswahili, unaanza kujua, ukianza kuzungumza ule Kiswahili wa ndani
that I'm not good in English.
unajaribu
Please
kuniwekea
can
mtego.
tuko tu katika Kiswahili, but we know what
Leo, let me ask you a question.
Unajaribu kuniwekea mtego.
Msimamo, just a minute. Allow me to ask Leo a question. Leo, I've asked you a question why you don't have an affordable house, and you've said that you do not need one. The reason you've given is that you have a house. Well, that is nice. So what about other Kenyans who also have houses and their salary is being deducted to build houses for others? I've asked you that, and you've given another scenario. You've said that why is it that you are paying for SHA, for example, and yet, for example, you are not sick? Do you understand how insurance work? The analogy.
Okay, leave alone the one for the insurance. I've told you.
It's just a question.
I'll answer you. I know how insurance works, and I withdraw the insurance comparison. I've told you you pay taxes, and the role of the government is to collect taxes. Then the government decides what they do with the taxes. And because I pay taxes, and I should not tell the government that because my tax should specifically be used to buy water, because me, I only need water. You pay taxes, and that money that is deducted to build the house, it is a tax. So the government takes a tax from you, and you will not tell the government because I have the house, that money, don't know. The government is taking you, it is a special tax that is specifically used to build the houses. So
it is okay.
You are the source of government revenue, which is okay. We don't need to complain whether they have the house or don't have. The government should decide what they're doing with the money. So the rural government this money they're used to build the houses. Let it be.
I'd ask you a simple question, and you tried changing it. You tried giving us an explanation or comparing it with the SHA. Now I was getting there, and you've simply slipped. You are now out of that. You are giving another, a different version. But let me tell you something.
I erred in that version.
How the government works. It is okay. The government has the prerogative of collecting taxes and possibly making the decision on what they want to do with the taxes. But again, if you've read the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, it is very clear. The issues to do with the deductions, there are some that Kenyans are supposed to be aware. There's something, of course, like I'd mentioned, things to do with public participation. The issue of taking taxes or collecting taxes or possibly deducting money from people's salary. Remember, there was no any public participation, and the issue was even taken to court. You remember?
And you know what was the court's interpretation? That's why I told you there's something we say the issue of public participation, I think that part of law is the part that is normally misused and maybe misquoted, because the law doesn't have the threshold for public participation. So the fact that I did not participate in that conversation does not mean it did not happen. It does not give a threshold that there's a specific percentage or a specific number. So the courts cleared it. And what we also need to know is right now, the court cleared it, and the laws that we are speaking of, the laws are meant for the benefit of citizens. So if these houses are good for us, then we need to look at the benefits that are going to come with this house. These houses have created employment to hundreds, thousands, and tens of thousands of Kenyans.
But are they being done in a legal manner?
Law are meant for the benefit of humans. So any law that is not benefiting us is not fit to be a law. So when you talk of them being legally, we need to look at our youth getting employed. Are they fitting themselves? So why would we stop building these things and allow our youth to be hungry because of obeying some laws that are not working for us? The law should be work for the benefit of us.
My brother, today we might be having a conversation here with you. And then I can't say that me and you, we have agreed that we are giving our good friend Msimamo 10,000 shillings.
Yes.
And then probably I give that 10,000 shillings. Our good friend Msimamo here might then come to say that the 10,000 shillings that we spoke about, it is me who gave him. And there's no way you can present or come up and say that the two of us gave him. You know that? You understand that bit? Is it making sense? So let me ask you. Today we have the President, William Samoei Ruto, as the head of state. The so-called affordable houses that you're speaking about, they're being built in a public land. What if you understand? You understand what public land means? You understand. You are a learned person. You understand. What if, Leo, I become a president the following, in the next term, and then I say that, according to what we understand by the public land, there is no public citizen who is supposed to be having a property within a public land. Is there any illegality I would have made if I make such a decision? Just to be truthful. Let us not be emotional.
I'll be truthful with you. And actually, your issue has just come at the right point when we are contesting something that happened in 2015 and 2022. Of course, the agreement that was signed when President Uhuru was there and the United States of America, somehow, according to the beliefs of most of Kenyans, is that it was illegal, there was no public participation, and all those procedures were not followed. But now, William Ruto has to honor it. He's not honoring it because he's the one who signed it, but he's honoring it because when it comes to presidency and the leadership, it is not a personal property, but these are things that are normally there are things that are inherited. So if we take a debt right now, the next president will have to inherit that debt. So the next president who is going to come will have to, they will not be able to reverse it because it's a mistake that was made. They'll have to take that mistake as the government responsibility. It's not an individual responsibility.
I like that.
It is not an individual responsibility. That is why I've heard people complaining here. We took so many loans, but now Ruto cannot come and say that, you see, this loan I did not take, I'll not pay. The governments are recessing.
On the same. Brother Leo, have you seen people being evicted from railways, mostly government or public lands? Or railways, not just railways. We've seen the other time, you remember the governor of Kiambu, for example, he was being evicted and he was being told that, the land that he had built, it was for railways. And apparently, he came up with all the documentation as he was showing to the people that he legally, in a legal way, he did lease. And, there's a specific number of years that he's supposed to be occupying that. The other time, you saw this woman in Lavington also being evicted. And her argument was she leased and she has all the documentation. But well, these lands are for maybe railways, maybe government. They have all the rights, from what we were seeing, to revoke even the leases. So I wanted you to give me an explanation. What if, remember, for example, you saw them taking all the accusation to the new leadership of railways, and the leadership was also saying that, well, they were not there when all those leases were being given, but now that they are the people who are there, they have to take the action, and that is why you are seeing a lot of evictions here and there. The same thing I want you to just explain to us. We want to understand. What if we have a rogue, not just a rogue, a government or a leader who is following the law and who understands the fact that public land are not supposed to be housing the citizens or public people? I want you to give that explanation, because we have to be factual and truthful to the people. We've seen a lot of moves by different, for example, departmentals. We've seen railways doing evictions, saying that they have all the rights, even if there's the lease, there's nothing. So just give us your explanation on that matter. I don't know whether you heard me or
but I know, okay, I got a bit of you, and I think I just want to give you a general answer, is that all the land, even the land that you are staying on, belongs to the government, and the day the government wants it, you cannot stop it. They will either replace it, or they buy it from you, or they take it forcefully. So the land belongs to the government, and that title deed that you normally have is not your document, it's a government document. So when you talk of those things like railways and such kind of things, those are just corporations, and there's nobody who can take a land from the government. It is only the government that can take a land from. That's why they call it a public land. We've seen investors who are buying lands, and at the end of the day, when the government even finally wants even to build a road there, they'll have to block it. So I'm sure that those houses that are built, none of them is going to be brought down. None of them is going to have an issue. So we just need to be positive. We need to look at what difference are these houses going to bring in our society. What housing challenges are we having? We are having housing challenges. We've been priding ourselves as the country that is hosting one of the largest slums in East and Central Africa, that is Kibera slum. But if you recently look at the face is changing. It might not change today, but I'm telling you, if the next president who is going to come after 2032 will continue with this spirit, in the next 20 years, we're not going to see the Kibera. And if we can be able to manage the housing problem, then we are going to solve so many issues,
Leo,
because some of the houses are properly designed. Yeah.
Everything you're saying is true.
We have to give due where it belongs. Let us not look at all these kind of things. At the end of the day, when you reach 60, 70 years, you're going to die. The rest will pick it from there. But at least we'll have left them a better foundation. I don't think
Leo,
somebody can come and take a land from the government.
Everything you're saying is okay, and it is right. And my hope or my wish is all those things you are saying are the true reflection of what is happening on the ground. You've again spoken about the slums.
So the only problem that we have is one, Makobura. Makobura, there's only one problem. I and you knows the right thing, but we allow misinformation. Even the people you see who are opposed to this thing, I was also opposing it until I stopped getting misinformed. So if we just communicate in the right way, without putting some political affiliation, then you'll find that this country is going to move ahead. Because
Leo,
all these things are nice. We like the situation we are having currently, we should be asking the right questions. I want to give you a scenario of what happened during the Adani. And of course, you are aware that the Adani case that was there in the US was dropped and he's now clean. This is what happens. We have a deal to renovate the airport. So the question we were supposed to ask was, what is the value of this deal? Are we getting any value? Can you make the details public? You get it? Then from that, we can be able to get a solution. Oh, this deal was this amount. Can we adjust this part? Can we adjust this part? We'll be having our airport done. Can we change the contractor? Can we change the investor? But now, instead of asking the right questions, we come and say, we don't want Adani. without giving options. Like right now, instead of
Well,
saying
if
we
you're
don't want
getting into those
information of
agreements,
Ebola, we need to check this thing has got this risk. How are you going to
let me
manage
ask
this
you.
risk, and how can we negotiate for it to be
You are
made
speaking
better?
so
So that is where
nicely.
we go
Let me tell
wrong. We
you,
don't ask the
Leo,
right question. We oppose for
Leo,
the sake of opposing.
Leo, let me tell you something. As a leader, you are a leader. For
Yeah,
example, if you are elected, you are,
yeah,
you are a leader. You are leading quite a number of people. Some of them are professional. Some of them are learned. Some of them are not
yeah,
learned. You are leading all kind. And again, by the fact that
yeah,
you've been given the opportunity to lead, it does not make you a
yeah.
genius. It does not make you a superhuman being or something like that.
Exactly.
So what if you're making decisions that are going to influence the lives of the people, both learned and not the ones who are not learned? What is wrong just coming out to give them the information that this is the deal that we are getting into? As a leader, you are the CEO of the country, right? The decisions that you are
Yeah,
making, partly they're supposed to be informed by the people that you are leading. They're supposed to, from the suffering or from the voice of the people, you are supposed to be making, the decisions based on the views of the people. What about in this instance where you are the leader? Let me give you a good example. Maybe you have your house, your wife, and your children. Normally, we say that men, for example, are the leaders of that particular house. Let me ask you, in a situation where you
yeah.
see, for example,
Uh,
your wife is, for example, maybe she wants to start bringing some relatives from her side
uh,
in your house. Will you question?
from our
You
side,
have
yeah.
question as the head. So the best thing you're supposed to do is you have a conversation about all these things so that whenever this move is made, you are aware and you can easily advise. But in this instance where moves are made, Kenyans are not aware. They start implementing something without giving full information about what is happening. At long last, these things are going to influence. They can impact negatively or positively the lives of the people. We have the future. The many times, the reason why Kenyans are resistant to quite a number of things is the many moves that have always been made. They are not positively affecting the lives of the people. More of the things we've seen is the negative bit, things to do with the loans that Kenya has always taken through the leadership. They have always gone for the loan, giving all the explanation that this loan, you're going to use it to do this, to do this. After some few years, you're being told that 10 billion was, disappeared. How are we then as a people? How are we supposed to trust these leaders if they're not truthful? If they don't want to give the information, if they don't want to make things open, that is the issue. And that is where we are supposed to start as a people or as the leadership of this particular nation. The reason why Kenyans went to the street, let me remind you today, they had seen the challenges. Kenyans are the true, whatever challenges they are going through. It is them who knows. It is them who understands. The leadership might not understand because they are in a different category. So if today you go to a shop and then you buy something at 10 shillings, tomorrow you go, you find the same thing is 15 shillings. The following day you go, you find it at 20 shillings. It is you, the Kenyan citizen, who is feeling the pain. What if you tell the leadership about the pain that you are feeling and they're taking no action? Instead of solving the issues of the problem, the next day you go again, the price would have increased. You ask them, well, what has changed? What has changed? Things are still constant. You ask them, well, you said you are going to take some loan to caution or to do this and this. Where is that money? There is nothing positive that Kenyans are seeing on their side. And that is why they're doing the questioning. There is nothing wrong of a Kenyan citizen who have entrusted you. And the constitution again is very clear. We have given you the authority to lead. As you are leading, we can question you. We can hold you accountable. What is wrong if a Kenyan gets to the street to remind you that we elected you to make laws? These laws are supposed to be helping us as a people. And instead of that, let me give you the example of the finance bill that the people had problems with. They said that, well, you've brought the finance bill. How is it going to affect us? They said that
Yeah.
partly you are increasing the taxes. It is going to mess our lives. Kindly reduce. And you, as the leader, we have
Well,
sent you to speak for us. Unanisikiza leo? We have sent you to speak for us. And instead of you speaking and saying that we have said no, partly reduce, you as the leader, you've refused. So what are your expectations? What is wrong if Kenyans get to the street to tell you that, well, we told you to go represent us, and you didn't do that? What is wrong? Bwana Leo, give us give us your view on that, because we have to be practical. Let us not take this line of looking into things with an emotional angle, because I don't think that is solving the problems that we have as a people here in Kenya. And again, the other day, just like our good friend Ms. Mamo here was saying, you are against this particular government. Well, you have your reasons to support them. There's no problem. But what has changed? You are here when the president was saying that a gas cylinder would be 300 shillings or 500 shillings, and that refilling the gas would be 800 shillings or 500 shillings. What has changed? What is wrong if a Kenyans get to the street and then reminds the president that you told us the cylinder would be 500? Why is it that instead of it getting to 500, it has gone to 1,500? Those are some of the issues or the questions that Kenyans are asking. You, as a supporter of the government, please tell us, how do you want a normal Kenyan citizen to trust that particular leader? I'll wait for you. And as you are coming, allow me to just acknowledge the presence of our good friends at the comment section. I hope, thank you so much. I also saw Judith. Thank you so much for giving us your views. I saw Brenda. Thank you so much. And everyone else who is watching. I want to remind you that over here we do say that your opinion counts. We are live on our platforms with the Benson Media and our sister channel Kikao na Sauti. Kikao na Sauti, and I'll give you a chance, Leo, to just answer a bit of what I've asked.
Oh, I don't know if I got some part of it. Maybe if you can just excuse me for some 5 minutes, then I'll get back. Today I'm with you. I'm not going anywhere. I just want to respond to some small emergency that I'm just getting back. If you don't mind, I'll get with you today.
Okay, thank you so much. And as I wait, I want to remind our good friend, wherever he is, to just come and give us his view as well, Bwana Msimamo, as we wait for Leo to come, because we've seen quite a number of talks. We've seen quite a number of views, and all these views from the side, most of the people who are supporting the government, they are giving a very, I can call it a very funny analogy, a very funny kind of explanation, something that is not partly making sense, if I can say, because Leo ni Leo, and we wanted to hear from him, because he's made quite a number of allegations here and there. We wanted him to just justify all the statements that he has been making, because it is part of these things are what Kenyans are asking for, and Kenyans are the right. Kenyans have a right to question their leadership. They have a right to question the moves by the political leaders. Leaders are, of course, the subjects of the people. And if they start making moves which are not politically active, then Kenyans have a right to question and, to understand what is happening. Yeah, as I wait for Msimamo to come so that he can give us his views on the same, and as we wait for Yes, as we wait for Msimamo and possibly Leo to come and give us his view on this particular issues that we presented, I would like to remind the people of Kenya the responsibility that they have as a people. They have a responsibility of ensuring that they question and anything that is being done by this government, they are in copy, because that is the moral responsibility of any citizen, whether positively or negatively. Part of the decisions that have been made by this government, they can affect you in a positive way or in a negative way. So it is always in order for them to always be alert and participate, and that is why young people are also being reminded to ensure that they vote or they involve themselves in activities of voting, because if they don't do so, part of the decisions that would be made by Kenyans who will get to the ballot would then influence positively or negatively. So young people within the republic, they have to take that initiative of ensuring that they vote, they get to the ballot come 2027. That is the only way of ensuring that they are part of decision making within the republic. It is part of ensuring that they give their views. Things to do with what we saw last time, people going to the street, demanding for their rights, questioning the government. This is the right time. The right time is having your voter's card and ensuring that you participate in decision making, in electing who you think has the capability. If, for example, Kenyans have problem with certain members of parliament on issues of representative and decision making within the parliament, the best time or the best opportunity they have is on the ballot. They can speak it out on the ballot by electing someone that they believe is able to deliver. We've always had instances where politicians are given the opportunity by the people. They come up with an agenda. They present the agenda to the people, and then later on they fail to adhere or to follow the agenda that they gave. And that is why we have consistent politicians who are coming up with different narratives. And these particular narratives have always been not, they've never implemented. They've always come with so many with so many promises that are not adhered to, promises that are not followed. And that is part of the reason why the citizens have not always trusted the leaders. If you remember, for example, the issues of the last demonstrations that were being held by the young people, they spoke and they said that the issue of that particular finance bill was not right. Quite a number. There were quite a number of clauses that were not right, that were going to negatively affect them, and they raised it. They came out. Kenyans came out. Public participation was done. Majority of Kenyans say that it was not right. But what happened? The members of parliament, they went ahead and approved that particular budget. They were doing so even when Kenyans were not happy. And that led to a demonstration that Kenya has never witnessed. That led to, a lot of chaos within the country. So these are some of the things that can be avoided. They can be avoided by people or, citizens being listened to by the leaders, because leaders are the subjects of the people. The decisions they make, whether the parliament or whichever, they're supposed to be doing so in consultation with the people. if we have a leadership that consults the citizens, a leadership that gets to hear what the people want, then probably we would be having one of the best country. But in this instance, we've seen a lot of moves by the government. For example, this issue that is currently at hand, the agreement between the US and Kenya. These are some of the things that were not presented before the people of Kenya so that they can give their view. It has now gotten to this particular point. It is not an easy thing. And now what is happening is that Kenyans are not happy. But again, the government is also at a point where, it is not easy for them to make a move because the citizens are not happy. So these are things that can be avoided if they would have come out clear and partly give a clarification of what was contained, the kind of agreements, then possibly the loggerhead that we are currently seeing would not have been witnessed. Yeah. So the other day we saw the opposition leaders, the likes of Rigathi Gachagua, the likes of Kalonzo, Eugene Wamalwa, and others coming out to say that such moves by the government are not right because they are affecting, and partly it shows that, even the Constitution of the Republic is not respected. And that is why we saw Rigathi Gachagua, Kalonzo coming out to say that, or criticizing, demanding that the United States of America respects the Kenyans' constitution and the sovereignty, because they are accusing the US of not respecting and also making moves without people of Kenyans being involved. Remember, the court of the Republic of Kenya partly stopped the guide by the US to build a quarantine within the Laikipia base. Contrary, or what is happening, or the information which are coming out are saying that there could be, or that particular construction might be in progress. And so the question is, the United States of America has always spoken about the constitutionalism, the respect of the Constitution, the respect of other countries' sovereignty. But is it really happening? Yeah, so we also saw the Linda Mwananchi team yesterday in Machakos coming out to clearly say that if the government moves ahead to make or to proceed with that particular decision, then they will mobilize people to get to the street to partly oppose that particular move. What does that mean? The moment we don't listen to the people, the moment leaders make decisions without listening to the people, we will always be having a lot of people going to the streets, partly contesting or partly having some negativity towards the moves. And that is why I've always said that these are things we can avoid. We can avoid these issues of consistent, demonstrations when Kenyans are listened to, when decisions are made, having listened to them. Yeah, so that would be my view. Allow me to just acknowledge the presence of Brani Brush, the presence of Benson, Leo, Ento, Philip, and of course at the comment section I can see I hope, thank you so much, Judith, Brenda. I also saw June, Kennedy, there was Kennedy Sankara, Laban Misiani, Brenda, and everyone who is watching. I want to remind you that we are live here at Brother Benson Media, and also at our sister channel Kikao na Sauti. Yeah, there's a comment here from Ihoi saying that I don't agree with the public being sent to the street. Why can the opposition leaders face off with Ruto? Yeah, so the opposition, one thing that I've also noted with these opposition leaders, they're not focused, they're not united, and I can say they're not fully aware of the role that they have taken. That is why Raila played the opposition role in a more active way. And, if partly gave a clarification or he gave a direction, it would be felt. Yeah, so the opposition are currently confused, if you ask me. They are not united. They are, I've ever heard President Ruto saying that they are planless. So I can partly say that they're still planless. That is why they cannot make moves that would make it tough for the government to make the next move. So it is upon, of course, the opposition leaders to partly unite and have an agenda. If they unite and they have an agenda and they're progressive, whichever move or whichever declaration they will give, it will then, have or make sense. Yeah, something else, part of these things can be solved within the parliaments, but currently, remember, what we are seeing is the executive has partly ensured that they have captured the parliament. It is so, that is the truth of the matter, because the parliament is controlled by the executive. Look at the majority leader, look at the minority leader, look at the whips, the likes of Junet. Those are, the people who are on this other side. But since they got to the broad-based arrangement, what we've seen or witnessed is they have told or they have worked or they have listened to the commands from the executive. And what worries the people of Kenya is that they are not able to make decisions which are going to positively influence the lives of the citizens, but they are simply rubber stamping what the executive has proposed. It is that painful. It is that inappropriate. That is why Kenyans have always gotten to the street as a way of partly, fighting for themselves, because there's no one to fight for them. Brother Msimamo.
Naam kaka Maka.
Yes,
Unanipata kweli?
yes, you can proceed. Before you left, you were speaking, you were giving your take.
Amba nilikuwa nataka kupambana na jamaa wangu ambavuni, tumetoka mbali na yeye lakini hafla amepinda na sasa hivi nataka kutupakia mafuta hapa. So nikawa kwa kweli sina jinsi la kujaribu kukabiliana, lakini bahati nzuri au mbaya nikatemwa nje na nikamkosa maswali yangu. Anyway, nimwalike tena kesho papa hapa Mungu akijali. Lakini langu mimi ni moja tu kwamba lisemwalo lipo na kama halipo basi linjiani laja. Kwa nini nazungumzia huo msemo? Ni kwamba tumeona haswa ugomvi ule ambao hauishi haswa katika nchi jirani ama nchi ile ya demokrasia ya Kongo, ambayo gonjwa hili la Ebola limekita mizizi zaidi. Kwa nini haswa hawao ambao wanatafutia kwamba ni kwa jinsi ya wezo mbinu ili kuleta unafuu kwa ndugu zetu
Simama,
chini.
you are breaking kidogo.
Ya, unanipata?
Yes, proceed.
Ya, kwa hiyo kuona kwamba yani nikirejelea tu kwa haraka kwamba kwa kweli haswa nashindwa haswa kuelewa, kwa sababu hili gonjwa limekita mizizi Kongo tena kwa muda, na istoshe ukitazama haswa kimkutani kwamba kama kweli haswa ili janga mataifa yale ambayo yametuzidi mbavu, ambayo haswa anataka kudhamini sasa hivi hapa, basi wangefanya mipango kuweza kulitokomeza gonjwa hili mazima ili kunusuru wale ndugu zetu ambao wako kule Kongo. Kwa nini bwana limekita mizizi pale, na tena sasa hivi ni wagonjwa watolewe pale waje katika taifa letu? Nini kipo nyuma ya pazia ambacho kinamtia wasiwasi? Je, kwa kudumu huku kwa ugonjwa huu Kongo ni fursa ipi inawapa hawa mataifa ya nje ambao kwa kweli ndio wenye power? Nikitazama mimi naona mwisho wa siku jibu langu linaangukia tu hapo kwa minerals, kwamba ni taifa ambalo ni minerals ambazo zinaacha, kwa sababu si mataifa si moja ama lingine ambalo tumeshuhudia. So wasiwasi wangu ni ule kwamba ukaribu huu ambao tutajengewa mradi ule wa mabilioni, je, Amerika ana jicho lipi katika taifa letu? Swali langu kama msimamo la siku ambao nitaliacha, je, ni kwa ajili ya madini tulionayo ama rasilimali zile mambo za rasilimali ambazo tuko nazo yakiwemo madini, ama ni nini huko ambao huko hapa? Je, tuchukulie mfano kama ni madini, je, watakao endelea ni sie ama ni wengine nje, na sisi tuishie kwamba tumetuya hifadhi lakini kwa niaba ya watu wengine? Kwa sababu hicho ndio kitu ambacho tunakuta mizozano ile ya vita haviishi Kongo, magonjwa hayaishi Kongo, because ni nchi ambayo madini pale yanatoka on daily basis. Je, na sisi tuishie katika hilo? So huo ndio wasiwasi wangu, nataka kumuuliza ndugu yangu hapa ambaye anajua vizuri aswa yale mazuri yapo ndani ya hii regime, tofauti na sisi ambao tunaipinga tangia awali. So maybe pengine angenipa majibu haya, kwa sababu nashindwa ukuhuba huu wa Amerika. Lazima Kenya, kwa nini? Ni nini haswa baadaye ya kujenga huu mradi wa mamilioni, faida yake ni ipi ama ukaribu wake ni upi? Je, ni kunyemelea minerali yetu yakiwemo mafuta kule Turkana maybe, ama yakiwemo madini kama vile haya yaliyoko katika kaunti yangu huku? So for real, mimi ndio maneno ambayo nilikuwa nataka kuyajibu kuweka hapa, ndugu yangu leo aweze kutudadavulia. Labda nirudi tu kwako Mark. Asante.
Huyo ndugu yetu alisema anarudi, lakini sijui amepotelea wapi. Nilikuwa na maswali mingi sana, kwa nataka nipee majibu. Sijui kama atarudi ama ametoroka. Lakini ukweli wa mambo, Kenya sijaielewa ni mambo ya this issue of people who are supporting the government coming up with some narratives or analogies that do not really make sense, and they keep it, wanaieneza mpaka wanashindwa watu wana msimamo gani. So it's that unfortunate. I was thinking he was going to come back and possibly give his views on the matter.
Lakini wacha tuache hilo la leo, angalau tuzungumze lingine na matokeo kama vile Linda Ground, Linda Mwana, at least tufunge na hiyo. Hili la Ebola unajua ni jambo endelevu, limeanza lakini najua litakwenda mbali na litazumbua mambo mengi. Kila kukicha litazidi kuzumbuka hasa mpaka tujue kiini cha huu mradi. Nafikiri kila kitu tusiwe na haraka. Mahakama nadhani wana yao watazungumza, kisha mwisho wa siku wakija pia wataamua. Kwa hiyo nafikiri ili tuliachie pale, kama kuna lolote ambalo pengine tutazungumzia nje na Ebola na masuala ya siasa, basi labda tuzungumzie huko, kaka yangu Maki, ili kusudi haswa tumpe nafasi ndugu yetu. Akirudi tutambandika maswali, kama hajarudi kesho ni siku na pia tutaendelea kulizungumzia hili, kwa sababu si jambo kwamba tulinyamazie tu, lazima tulizungumzie kila angle, tujue kwamba aswa uhakiki ambao upo wa mradi huu wa mamilioni katika kwa Mkenya, hata akiukubali, je, kuna uhakiki gani? Kwako ndugu yangu Maka.
Hey, thank you so much, Bwana Msimamo. And I think we'll stop it at this point, because we've tackled quite a number, and possibly I'll give you a chance to you just give us your views on you give us your views on your final remarks on how the country is proceeding. Bwana Msimamo.
Before I nitoe my final remarks, labda pengine mwenzangu haswa nikuulize wewe haswa kama Maki kuhusiana na mikutano miwili mfuatilio ambayo yote ilitokea jana, mwingine kule Kisumu, mwingine kule Machakos, na labda tukizingatia muhemko ule na uchangamfu wa mwananchi, haswa ukitazama wewe mwenzangu Mark, haswa katika mikutano ile, labda una lipi la kutuambia kuhusiana na mfuriko wa halaiki ya wafuasi? Je, nani haswa kwa kweli haswa aliweza kupikwa mwingine dhidi haswa ya ile halaiki na mapokezi na maandalizi? Labda pengine kwa hilo tunaweza lizungumzia la Linda Ground na nini, ile Linda Ground na Linda Mwananchi. Comparison ile kwamba haswa tukiangalia wale wananchi haswa walibebaje hii mikutano miwili, ukiangalia mfuatilio haswa Mark.
Yes, me what I can say is that this issue of the two rallies that we saw, part of it from the government side, I mean the Dr. Oburu side, and the second one from the Linda Mwananchi team, I can say that it was not easy for both of them to coexist, and that is why we are seeing divergent opinion. If you look at the side of this side of the Linda Mwananchi team that were in Machakos, they are simply trying to maintain relevance, and the good thing I like with them is that they have the energy and they are doing what we call mobilization without coercing the people or partly bribing the people. To me, that's a good move, because normally if you want to go far in politics, you must have the organic support, and that is what made Raila Amolo Odinga more relevant for quite a long time. That is what made him to be relevant for a period that he existed, and that is why he had a bigger bargaining power. He had the bargaining power and the political respect based on the fact that he was accepted on the ground. He had a good support from the ground. How I wish any politician who wants a good support and a good bargaining power that they get to the people, they receive the endorsement of the people. That is the most positive thing, and I like the fact that the Linda Mwananchi team are partly going to the people to get their support. They are getting to the people to ensure that they are endorsed by the people, and that is the positive thing. When I looked at the other side of Dr. Oburu, there was a lot of mobilization, bribing here and there. There are people who are actually paid to get to those rallies. There were people who were exported all the way from Kisii. Some of them exported all the way from Migori. Some from different parts of the country, all in the name of having a bigger crowd in Kisumu So the question we are asking is, if you saw even the amount of money, I saw a post by Robert Alai speaking about the branding. He questioned the reason why they were spending a lot of money doing a branding, and this was a rally that was only going to take a place in a day. Was there need for that big, massive branding? We are not yet in the campaign period. Why would you spend that money? And yet you are leaders of a group of people who are not doing well financially. Those are the negative decisions that have always been made by the leaders, doing or wanting to take the attention of the people at a time where there's a lot that is needed to be done. Kenyans are suffering. There's high level of poverty. That money they would have used it to do something positive, giving back to the society, because at long last it is the Kenyans' money given to the political parties. My view is we need to be proactive as leaders. The leaders need to be very proactive and make decisions which are positively impacting the lives of Kenyans. That would be my statement in that, Bwana Msimamo, unless you have.
Labda niwe na maswali mawili tu ya haraka haraka kabla tufunge, ama nitoe maoni yangu ya mwisho. Tuliona pale ambapo kiongozi ule mkongwe, kiongozi ambaye kwa kweli namheshimu na kumwenzi, Profesa Anyang' Nyong'o, wakati akitoa speech hakukuwa na utulivu wa kutosha. Yani it's like kulikuwa na kama kelele mingi. Mzee wa watu walazimika kuzungumza tu, lakini kwa kweli ile heshima na ukimya ili kusikizwa kama kiongozi sikuona. Siyo kama hilo mwenzangu niliona. La pili, turudi katika kauli ya CS Mbadi ya kwamba anakashifu aswa jamii ya Wakikuyu hadharani, alafu tena yeye ana azma ya kuwa rais and tuendako huko mbele 2032 na kuendelea. Je, itakuwaje sasa kama ni anagombea hiyo nafasi na si nafasi ya Luo Nyanza, ni nafasi ambayo ni ya kitaifa? Itakuwaje haswa yeye haswa unaonaje haswa mtazamo wako kwamba haswa kufika haswa mlima tena kwenda kuomba kura kuenda kuomba kura, ikizingatiwa kwamba sasa hivi anazungumza mambo ambayo kwa kweli ni ya kukashifu jamii ile hadharani. Je, hili unalionaje ndugu yangu Mark, haswa kimtazamo wako?
The likes of Professor Nyong'o, people who have been in politics, the people who partly contributed to the longer period that Raila survived politically. So what I can say here is, Professor has always been very, I can say, reserved in the sense that I can say he has always been reserved, not wanting to give a lot of political remarks or taking political sides. People have always asked him why he has been quiet. And the reason why he has been quiet, according to him, is he was trying to, if you remember the comments that he gave some times back, he was trying to partly solve or ensure that the challenges that are being faced here by the people by the party are partly solved. But it seems possibly maybe he did not manage, and if he did not manage, the issue here is what might have been the reason behind it not, the challenges being sorted. It is clear the clarity here, the clear thing here is the division is already wide. It is clear. Both sides have taken their sides, and there's nothing that Professor would have done to ensure that he uses his tactics to bring forth or to bring back the different factions together. Remember, even the Archbishop Zacchaeus retired. It has always been said as well that he has tried mending the differences between the leaders, and it is not easy. So it was long overdue that the decisions were already made by both sides. And him as the governor, and of course, a long time leader or elder, he was there, and his presence partly would say that even if you watch how he was speaking, he looked like he's not really taking sides, but he's somehow neutral. And again, his speech was more of what we can call advice to the leaders. That is what I can say about that, Bwana Msimamo.
Sawa ndugu yangu, ni baadhi ya maswali ambayo nitaka tu nilipepesa jicho nikayaona kwamba hakukuwa na utulivu ule ama ile heshima ambayo naijua haswa kwamba inapewa kiongozi pindi anapozungumza wa hadhi kama hivi. Sikuiona mzee anaongea, kwingine kuna vurugu, wengine wanazungumza hivi. Yani kulikuwa kwa kweli hakujatulia vile, lakini kubwa zaidi ni kutofautisha haswa, nikimalizia ya kwangu nikifunga nayo kwamba nikitofautisha haswa hii mirengo miwili. Kwa kweli utagundua Afrika wale wametumia harama kubwa, wengine hawajatumia harama kubwa. Sasa huo ndio waasilia. Ukweli upo kwamba ni ngumu sasa hivi ODM kurudi katika mkumbo mmoja, kila mtu kashashikwa stand zake. Lakini ukirudi katika wa wengine ambao wanajaribu kuipaint ODM ionekane kwamba wao wana nguvu, wana power, wana everything, what it lacks ni watu, kwa sababu inawagharimu pakubwa kuona kwamba wanajaza ukumbi kama ule. Na pia ukipepesa zaidi haswa katika pita zangu, umegundua kwamba hata kuna baadhi ya wananchi ambao waliweza kuondoka pale katika uwanja. Yani kuna vitu vingi ambavyo nimeviona chini ya maji. Mungu, sitaki kuvizungumzia zaidi kwa sababu havina uhakiki maalum. Lakini ukirudi kwa kweli haswa unakuta kwamba wametumia harama kubwa kuweza kujaza uwanja watu kutoka tofauti na hawa wengine ambao walikwenda na wakafanya rally yao Kisumu na wakasindikizwa, wakatembea, wakafanya kile walifanya. Then ukiangalia jana pia kule walikokwenda Ukambani, licha kwamba haswa ni nje haswa na Luanyana, pia walikuwa na mapokezi ambayo walikuwa na tija mno. Watu walifurika kama nzige, bila harama, bila mabasi, bila kofia, bila everything. Then utarealize kwamba hapa ODM what lacks ni watu ambao haswa upande wa Linda Mwananchi. That's why unakuta wamebase, waliona Kisumu itakuwa kubwa kuweza kufunika haswa rally ya kina Sifuna na kina Babu na kina Orenga wakati ule, kitu ambacho kwa kweli hawakuweza hata kiduchu kuweza kufunika haswa ule muhemko. Yaani ukitazama mpaka picha zenyewe zile, kuna bwana mmoja alipanda juu ya ile traffic light akatoa resemble ya one time. Then hawa pia wame copy paste the same thing. Wao kuna jamaa amepanda hapo akivaa t-shirt. Why should you copy paste somebody? Kila anafanya na wao unafanya hicho, ni kumaanisha kwamba amekuzidi mbavu na everything. So Linda Mwananchi kwa kweli wakipongeza, na nadhani pia watapata wafuasi wako kama ndugu yangu leo walikuwa hapa, wataweza kufungana. Lakini basi Linda Mwananchi naamini kwamba iko na spirit ya Babu. Nadhani nitaka kufunga kwa hilo ndugu yangu Mark kwa leo, na kwa wale ndugu zangu wote ambao waliwakilisha upande wa comment section na wale ambao wametenga muda wa kutusikiza. Kuna wale ambao nimewagusa, kuna wale ambao nimewapa, lakini nimewakera, lakini si hivyo. Kwa kesho na kesho Mungu akijali tuko hapa
Hey, thank you so much, Bwana Msimamo. Allow me to take this opportunity to just say a big thank you to everyone who joined us today. And
ila
not
tu
forgetting,
ni wakumbushe msemo mmoja, ni kuwakumbushe tu msemo mmoja kwamba fumbo siku zote mfumbie mjinga, ila mwerevu siku zote atang'amua. Asante.
okay, thank you so much, Msimamo, for finding time to be with us. We really appreciate. And allow me to just appreciate everyone who joined us, and partly to say a big thank you for your continued support. More so those of you who have liked, supported, or commented. We really appreciate. I want to take this opportunity to remind you that we love you so much. Thank you for your support. And over here, we do say that your opinion counts. If you're watching for the first time, kindly like and support and subscribe as well, because if you do so, it is a way of supporting us. And I would like to end at this point. Tomorrow we'll be having another time to discuss more. Thank you so much, everyone, and may God bless you. Have a blessed morning, a blessed afternoon, a blessed evening, a blessed night from wherever you're watching us from. Thank you so much, and may God bless you. See you again tomorrow.